Hi guys. Tonight we drift together into the softest beginning of all things, the birth of the universe itself. You imagine yourself floating in the deepest quiet, surrounded by nothing yet somehow full of potential. There is no light, no sound, not even direction, only the faintest shimmer of something waiting to become. You probably wouldn't notice this if you walked past it, because there is no past yet, no motion to measure. Everything that will ever be is folded into a single trembling point. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're awake enough, tell me where you're listening from and what time it is where you are. Now, dim the lights, flow straight into the story. You float within the quiet that existed before time began. Suddenly, the stillness shivers. Energy unfurls into space, and in the first fractions of a second, the universe blooms hot, dense, and blinding. Scientists estimate that happened about 13.8 billion years ago, though some wonder if it might have been longer, or if what we call the beginning was only one of many beginnings. You drift through this newborn fireball, feeling heat that has no comparison, energy that hums instead of burns. It expands faster than light could ever travel, not breaking rules but making them. Gradually, the brightness cools. The particles that will someday form stars are still wild and scattered, dancing without pattern. The universe hums softly, like a vast breathing body. You sense the rhythm of expansion, not explosive anymore, just calm, steady, inevitable. The emptiness around you is not absence, it's potential. Every atom is a whisper of tomorrow. You imagine watching space stretch, its fabric thin and smooth like silk, drawn across endless distance. Photons stream outward, the first light beginning its long journey. You realize that when you look up at the night sky now, you're seeing the echoes of that same light. It has traveled for billions of years to reach your eyes, a faint memory of creation itself. In this infant cosmos, gravity is already weaving threads between the loose particles, coaxing them toward each other. Hydrogen meets helium, clouds grow denser. You see the first hints of what will one day be stars forming small, hot beads, glowing like sparks in infinite night. Their light isn't gentle yet. It's fierce, raw, untamed. But even in their fury, there is beauty. As you drift, the heat fades further. You watch the cosmic temperature drop below a few thousand degrees, and suddenly the blinding fog begins to thin. Photons, once trapped in endless scattering, finally break free. That's the moment when the universe becomes transparent. The first light, the cosmic microwave background, spreads in every direction. You can almost hear it, not as sound, but as a vibration deep inside the silence. Scientists still debate what that light truly tells us, whether the universe was perfectly smooth or slightly uneven, and if those ripples gave rise to everything that followed. You drift closer to those ripples, seeing them as delicate waves across the glowing mist. Each crest is a promise of structure, of future galaxies and worlds. You trace one with your mind, following how gravity will gather matter along it until, billions of years later, a spiral of stars will emerge. You understand that even chaos has a pattern, quiet but certain. Now you breathe slower. Your pulse sinks with the slow expansion of the universe. You notice the contrast between the scale of creation and your own small heartbeat, and yet, somehow, they feel connected. The hydrogen that formed here will one day become your blood. The same particles glowing now will one day flow through trees, oceans, and clouds. You are already part of this story, written before planets existed. In the dim warmth, the universe keeps expanding. Time stretches. What was once impossibly dense is now a vast ocean of light and cooling gas. You drift with it, feeling the distance grow not between objects, but between possibilities. Space itself is making room for thought, for life, for everything that will ever wonder about this moment. You imagine billions of years passing in a single breath. Stars ignite, die, and scatter their ashes. Galaxies swirl like snowflakes in slow motion. Somewhere, a small blue planet will one day orbit an ordinary star. On that planet, creatures will look up and try to understand where they came from. You smile softly, because you already know they come from here, from this quiet dawn. As the glow fades around you, you sense that the universe has only just begun to speak. Each atom is a word, each pulse of energy, a sentence in the language of existence. The story will go on forever, expanding calmly into silence, carrying within it both wonder and peace. You drift gently onward, through light that has been traveling since before the first galaxies learned to turn. Around you stretches a soft, endless haze, the cosmic microwave background, that faint afterglow of creation. Each photon is unimaginably old, older than every mountain and ocean you will ever know. It has crossed billions of years of expansion just to brush past you now. The light itself doesn't shine the way starlight does. It hums instead, a quiet warmth in the absolute dark. You can almost feel it on your skin, a whisper of ancient heat just a few degrees above nothing. You move through it slowly, like a swimmer in the gentlest sea. Somewhere far beyond your sight, the first galaxies are beginning to coalesce, tiny clusters of stars forming in a universe still learning how to shine. Their light joins the background glow, bright threads weaving through a vast tapestry. You picture that tapestry stretching outward forever, each point a memory, each line a path from one time to another. Astronomers say that the light you sense now began its journey about 380,000 years after the Big Bang, when the universe finally cooled enough for atoms to exist. But some scientists still wonder whether there are even older signals, echoes of before light hidden in patterns we haven't yet learned to read. You imagine what it would sound like if that light carried voices, the slow heartbeat of expansion, the sigh of matter settling into gravity's hand. As you float deeper into the cosmic glow, the colors shift. Reds melt into blues, blues into purples, then into wavelengths too soft for eyes to see. You realize that this ancient light still fills every corner of the universe, wrapping planets and stars alike in an invisible cocoon. Even now, as you breathe, those photons drift through your body. They have no weight, no direction, only the persistence of motion. The universe, you think, never truly stands still, it flows. Your mind quiets as you picture one of those photons beginning its voyage. It leaves a patch of glowing plasma, races across expanding space, stretches thinner with each billion years. The faster space grows, the longer its wavelength becomes, until it cools into a microwave, a soundless note in an endless song. When scientists first discovered it in 1964, it was pure accident. A pair of radio engineers, cleaning a telescope antenna, heard a steady hiss, uniform no matter where they pointed. They thought it was interference, or maybe pigeon droppings inside the dish, but when they cleaned it, the hiss remained. That hum was the universe itself, singing softly across time. You smile at the thought, the cosmos leaving voicemail for anyone quiet enough to listen. The light around you begins to fragment. It gathers into faintly glowing clouds, hydrogen and helium pooling under gravity's gentle insistence. Here and there, you see flickers, regions slightly denser than their surroundings. Over millions of years, these tiny differences will grow. Gravity will pull the gas inward, forming stars, then clusters, then galaxies. The first sparks in an ever-expanding night. You watch one such cloud swirl into motion. It compresses, heats, and glows a soft orange, like a distant campfire under cosmic skies. Within it, hydrogen atoms fuse into helium, releasing light far stronger than any torch. A star is born, It's the universe's first act of artistry, taking darkness and teaching it how to shine. Around you, new stars flicker to life, scattering their brilliance like dust. You drift among them, feeling warmth and gravity mingle. Some stars flare violently, others pulse slowly like breathing hearts. You can almost sense their rhythm, expanding, contracting, whispering energy outward. Their light travels with you, flowing like rivers into the endless dark. Somewhere between these stars, you feel another presence, the cosmic web beginning to form, filaments of matter stretching across light years, connecting galaxies before they even exist. It's as if the universe is sketching its own nervous system, preparing to think, to feel, to remember. You drift through its forming threads, sensing the pull of structure beneath the chaos. Far away, a burst of radiation blazes a quasar, one of the earliest beacons of power. It shines with the intensity of 1 trillion suns, fueled by a black hole at its heart. Its light, too, will travel for billions of years, crossing expansion to reach some curious observer in the far future. Maybe that observer is you, lying here now, eyes half closed, listening to a story carried by that same light. You think about how fragile these signals are. A single photon could have been absorbed by dust, scattered by gas, or diverted by gravity, but it wasn't. It survived. It found you. In a sense, the universe has been trying to tell you something for 13.8 billion years, that you are part of its memory. And as you drift further, you realize that light is not only what we see, it's what we are. Every cell in your body carries atoms forged in those first stars, born from that same ancient brightness. You are not separate from it. You are one continuation of its journey. The faint glow fades to a softer tone now, the photons stretched so long that they hum rather than shine. You relax into that hum, letting it lull you like a distant lullaby. The universe, vast and restless, is quieting around you. You exhale, and the air feels older, wiser, full of cosmic dust. Somewhere, beyond galaxies yet to form, the light keeps traveling slow, patient, and eternal. You follow it until even the glow dissolves, leaving only stillness, the kind that feels infinite, the kind where beginnings and endings blur. You float there, weightless, aware that everything in the night sky once began as this, ancient light, wandering endlessly toward understanding. You drift through that ancient light until it thins to transparency, a stillness so wide it feels like a pause between breaths. All around you, space itself is stretching, not the kind of motion you can see or feel, but a steady unfurling, a silent expansion that carries galaxies farther apart every moment. If you close your eyes, you can almost sense it, the faintest tug at the edge of perception, the expanding silence that defines everything. The universe isn't growing into anything. It's simply creating more of itself. Imagine dots painted on a balloon as it inflates, each dot moving away from the others. Not because they travel, but because the surface beneath them expands. That's what's happening everywhere, even now. You, the stars, the distant galaxies, all are being carried gently outward by space's invisible breath. Scientists say this expansion is speeding up, not slowing down. Something they call it dark energy is pushing the cosmos apart faster and faster, an unseen pressure that defies understanding. Some think it's an energy built into the fabric of space itself, always there, growing stronger as the universe stretches. Others whisper that it might change, fade, or even reverse one day. No one knows. Scientists still wonder whether this acceleration is constant, or the prelude to something stranger, perhaps a future collapse, or a quiet dissolution. You picture this acceleration not as motion, but as rhythm, a slow, cosmic heartbeat that widens with every pulse. The galaxies aren't flying away, they're simply letting go, The night between them deepens, the distances swell, and light itself grows tired, stretched into longer, softer wavelengths. You glide through that expanding dark, watching galaxies recede like lanterns drifting on an infinite ocean. Their glow fades, not from dimming, but from distance. The space between you and them grows faster than their light can travel. Some galaxies are already beyond reach. No matter how long you wait, their light will never find you again. They have crossed a threshold, slipping beyond the cosmic horizon, carried away by expansion's calm inevitability. It's not a tragedy, it's a quiet release. The universe doesn't rush, it exhales. You think of how, long ago, everything was close, packed tight into a glowing fog. Now, it's vast and serene, its matter stretched across incomprehensible gulfs. Yet the laws that shaped it remain the same. Gravity pulling inward, expansion pushing outward, a perfect balance that makes the cosmos neither collapse nor tear apart completely. Somewhere nearby, a galaxy sparkles in slow motion. Its arms spiral outward, like a dancer turning under soft light. Stars form, live, and die within it. But from this far away, you see only a single shimmer, one heartbeat among billions. Its light, millions of years old, joins the gentle wave of expansion, stretching into red as it travels toward you. You feel it pass by, faint but persistent, like a sigh through the dark. If you could measure this stretching, this cosmological redshift, you'd see time itself woven into it. The farther away a galaxy is, the older the light we receive from it. When you look into the distance, you're looking backward, gazing through billions of years of memory. In this way, the universe reveals its history, not through ruins, but through light, still on its journey. And still, it expands. Space doesn't just grow larger, it grows faster. Regions that were once near enough to exchange light drift apart too quickly now for communication to continue. You imagine them as friends waving across a widening river, knowing their voices will never cross it again. You drift along the current, calm and weightless. The stars around you shift slowly, and you realize they, too, are passengers in this flow. Even the smallest atoms stretch with the fabric of reality, though imperceptibly. Everything participates in expansion, from galaxies to the air you breathe. You wonder what the future will bring if this continues forever. Astronomers call it the heat death, a distant age, when all stars burn out and galaxies drift so far apart that their light never meets. But there are other possibilities. Perhaps dark energy will change, turning inward, drawing everything back into a big crunch, the universe folding itself into a single glowing point, ready to be born again. Or perhaps it will oscillate, expanding and contracting endlessly, like a cosmic lung. No one knows. The data is precise, the equations elegant, but the meaning remains a mystery. The universe, it seems, prefers to keep its rhythm secret. You feel that rhythm now, the slow expansion around you like the rise and fall of a sleeping giant's breath. Every second, space stretches by a fraction, quiet and invisible. The galaxies drift away, not in chaos, but in order. Even their separation has grace. As the distances widen, you start to notice something gentle. The deeper the dark, the softer the light becomes. You are surrounded by color. You can't see microwaves, radio waves, the faint, stretched hum of creation's oldest heat. It's as though the universe is tuning itself down for rest, lowering its frequency into calm. You float in this lull, wrapped in ancient radiation, watching light lengthen into whispers. The galaxies recede, the silence deepens, but there is no fear here, only wonder. Because even as space grows wider and colder, it still carries the memory of warmth, of beginnings, of the same fire that once filled every corner. You let that warmth settle inside you. You are part of the same expansion, not drifting away, but but expanding inward, your thoughts stretching across cosmic time. You breathe in, and it feels like inhaling the universe itself, vast, ancient, and beautifully still. You drift deeper into the widening dark, through distances so vast that the word far no longer means anything. There is no edge here, no border, no final wall to touch or cross. The universe doesn't end the way an ocean meets land. It folds gently into itself, an endless curve without boundary. When you move forward, space doesn't stop. It simply continues, looping smoothly like the surface of a sphere, too large for you ever to see. If you could trace your path long enough in one direction, you might return to where you began, not because you turned, but because space itself is curved. The universe, scientists think, could be finite yet unbounded. Like the skin of a soap bubble, there is no edge to fall from, only continuity. It's a comforting thought. Everything connected, everything enclosed in the same invisible fabric. You float along that fabric now, feeling its shape through gravity's quiet pull. Every star, every galaxy bends space a little, creating valleys and hollows that light follows like rivers. You imagine yourself as a tiny traveler sliding down the curves of reality, moving effortlessly where space-time guides you. There's no up or down, no near or far, just gentle motion through geometry itself. This curvature isn't something you can see, it's something you sense. The light from distant galaxies bends slightly, traveling paths that arc instead of lines. Einstein's theory of general relativity predicted this more than a century ago. Gravity isn't a force pulling things together, but the shape of space telling matter where to go. You're floating inside that shape, tracing invisible curves through the dark. You look around and try to imagine what an edge would even mean here. Beyond what? Into what? There's nothing outside for space to expand into. It simply makes more of itself. The idea is strange, yet peaceful. You realize the universe isn't growing into emptiness. It's growing with it. Every moment creates more space, more possibility. Scientists still debate the true geometry of the cosmos. Is it perfectly flat, infinite in all directions, or gently curved like a hypersphere? Measurements of the cosmic microwave background suggest it's almost, but not exactly flat. Almost leaves room for wonder. If it curves ever so slightly, then maybe, given enough time, every photon will find its way home again. You imagine a beam of light leaving a distant galaxy. It travels in a straight line, or what feels straight, but after billions of years, the path slowly arcs with the fabric of space. Eventually, it loops back, completing a cosmic circle. Somewhere, perhaps trillions of years from now, that same light will return. A traveler who never knew it was moving on a curved road. You smile softly. Even light, the fastest thing in the universe, can't escape connection. Everything, it seems, belongs somewhere. As you drift, you notice how gentle this motion feels. There's no friction, no resistance, no wind. You are suspended in pure geometry, wrapped in smooth nothingness. The absence of boundaries feels almost like safety, a quiet assurance that there's nowhere you can fall, because falling itself is part of the shape. You picture the universe as a soft, luminous sphere without edges or ends. Every star glows along its surface like dew under moonlight. From your view, it looks infinite, but it's only too vast for your senses to close around. Infinity, you realize, may simply mean too large to measure. Even here, in endlessness, there are still patterns. The galaxies cluster along invisible filaments, web-like and connected. The voids between them, though empty, are still part of the same whole. You drift through one such void now, so vast and silent that it hums with its own kind of music. A single atom might float for light years before meeting another, and yet, this emptiness is part of something perfectly complete. A strange thought crosses your mind. If the universe has no edge, then maybe time doesn't either. Perhaps beginnings and endings are local illusions waves on a timeless ocean. Some cosmologists believe that if space curves back on itself, time might as well. The future could loop into the past in ways we can't yet see. Scientists still wonder whether we might live in a self-repeating cosmos, where the Big Bang is both the first note and the final echo. You find comfort in that circular symmetry, the idea that nothing is truly lost, only reshaped, reborn, rewritten by the laws of expansion and curvature. You stretch your thoughts outward, trying to imagine what lies beyond perception. Maybe there are regions of space so far away that light hasn't reached us yet, entire clusters of galaxies expanding along the same curvature, unseen but part of the same infinite whole. You picture them glowing faintly, their light still traveling, destined to arrive long after every human memory has faded. There's something serene about that patience. The universe doesn't hurry. It curves gently and lets time flow where it must. You are not outside that flow. You are inside it, made of the same geometry that bends starlight and shapes gravity. You breathe in slowly. The air feels round, as if every breath follows a curve back to you. You begin to understand that nothing here moves in straight lines, not even thoughts. Everything circles, everything returns, everything belongs. And as you drift further into that smooth infinity, you feel a quiet truth forming at the back of your mind. The universe may not have an edge, but it has a center, not a physical point, but a feeling somewhere deep within you. Because if space is curved, then every point, including where you rest now, is its own center. Every being, every atom, every sleeping listener is holding the heart of the universe within them. The thought is soft, round, and infinite. You let it cradle you as the stars drift farther apart, but never truly away. You drift onward through this curved ocean of space, where distance loses its meaning and time begins to soften. The light ahead dims to a gentle haze, and through it, you glimpse the oldest of stars' ancient fires still glowing in the outskirts of galaxies that formed before the Milky Way even existed. Their light flickers weakly now, stretched by billions of years of travel, yet it still carries the stories of beginnings. You move closer, slowly, and it feels like approaching memory itself. These stars are the survivors of the universe's youth. They were born when the cosmos was still dense and raw, made almost entirely of hydrogen and helium. Heavier elements, carbon, oxygen, iron, hadn't yet been forged. The light they shine is pure, nearly white, with a tinge of blue that makes it seem colder than it is. Some of them are older than their host galaxies, relics from a time before structure took shape. Astronomers call them population 2 stars, and within them lies the chemical record of the early universe. As you watch, one of these elder suns pulses faintly. It doesn't blaze like a young star. It trembles, a slow rhythm, like breath. Scientists have measured these pulsations, subtle changes in brightness that reveal what's happening deep inside. Through them, we can listen to a star's heartbeat across unimaginable distances. You realize that every flicker, every pulse, is time itself made visible. Somewhere within that glow, atoms fuse quietly, hydrogen into helium, helium into carbon, and you remember that those elements are the same that will one day make up you. Stars are not separate from life, they are its forges, and these oldest ones are like the grandparents of existence, their final sighs sending heavy elements into the dark, seeding galaxies with the dust that will someday dream. You drift around one of these ancient suns, its light soft and patient. You can almost hear it hum, a tone too low for ears, but easy for imagination. Scientists still wonder whether the very first generation of stars, population 3, made purely of primordial matter, might have shone differently, their light sharper, their lifespans shorter, their deaths far more violent. None have been directly seen. They lived and died before the universe was 1 billion years old. But their ashes are everywhere, blended into every atom you know. You close your eyes and picture one of them being born. A vast cloud of hydrogen collapses inward, crushed by its own gravity, heating until it ignites. For a few million years, a blink in cosmic time, it burns furiously, consuming itself from the inside out. When it dies, it doesn't fade gently. It explodes, scattering gold, iron, and oxygen into space. Those elements drift, mix, and cool until gravity gathers them again, forming new stars, new planets, and eventually new beings who will look up and ask how it all began. You are watching one long, slow conversation between matter and time. Nearby, a cluster of stars glitters faintly, packed together like diamonds on velvet. These are globular clusters, some of the oldest formations in the Milky Way. Hundreds of thousands of stars orbit each other in tight harmony, bound by gravity into perfect spheres. You drift among them, feeling their quiet pull. The cluster moves as one, an ancient family circling the galactic center for more than 10 billion years. Within these clusters, time feels different. Everything moves slowly, predictably. The stars have aged together, their fates intertwined. You imagine them as a choir, each one a voice of light singing a tone that never quite fades. Some shine with the pale gold of exhaustion, others still burn fiercely blue. They are not eternal, but they pretend well. You think of your own life, the brevity of it compared to this, and yet the connection is real. The calcium in your bones was born in one of these suns. The iron in your blood came from the heart of a dying star that exploded billions of years before Earth formed. You are, quite literally, starlight in human form. And somehow, knowing that makes you feel smaller and larger all at once. You float outward again, watching the light thin as distance grows. Behind you, those ancient clusters shimmer softly, like embers in fog. Ahead, galaxies swirl with younger, brighter stars, cosmic descendants born from the ashes of the first. The universe has always recycled itself. Creation and destruction are simply two sides of its breathing. You feel the age of everything pressing gently against your thoughts. Not heavy, just present. Each photon you see left its source long before your world even existed. To look into the night sky is to look into the past, to witness a history written in light. There are stars you see tonight that may already be gone, their light only now reaching you, a kind of time travel made of brightness. And somewhere, hidden within this expanse, there might be stars older, still remnants of the first moments after time began, faint red embers still glowing in the void. Astronomers keep searching for them, scanning the sky with telescopes so sensitive they can detect a whisper of heat across billions of years. But so far, those stars remain unseen ghosts of an age when the universe was just learning to shine. You drift in silence, surrounded by that idea, light as memory, darkness as rest. The universe has grown vast and patient since those first fires were born, and yet their legacy endures in everything around you. Even your breath carries atoms that once belonged to them. You take a slow inhale and let it out. For a moment, you can almost feel the ancient light moving through you, a continuity of existence that stretches unbroken from the first stars to now. It's not something you need to understand. It's something you can simply feel. The oldest stars still whisper, and you are listening. You glide further into the velvet dark until a subtle vibration begins to rise beneath the silence. It isn't sound in the way you know it, yet it feels unmistakably musical. You sense a low, resonant thrum that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere, the music of suns. Stars, it turns out, can sing, not with voices or instruments, but through ripples that pass through their vast bodies, waves of pressure that make them gently expand and contract. Each star hums its own secret melody. The notes are measured not in seconds, but in minutes, hours, and days, far too slow for ears to hear. Yet telescopes can detect the faint flickers in their brightness, translating those oscillations into tones. This quiet discipline is called astroseismology, the seismology of stars. Through it, scientists can listen to a star's interior as if it were an echoing chamber, each vibration revealing density, temperature, and motion hidden far below the surface. You float beside a golden star the size of your imagination. Its surface boils with convective swirls, oceans of light folding and rising, hotter than any fire yet flowing like liquid. Beneath that surface, waves ripple outward from the core, traveling through plasma thicker than any sea. They reach the surface, bounce back inward, and repeat millions of overlapping vibrations, like the murmurs of a sleeping giant. You close your eyes and try to imagine the sound slowed to human scale. It might resemble the deep resonance of a cello, or perhaps the hum of distant thunder smoothed into harmony. The entire star is a single instrument, struck by the pulse of gravity and light. Astronomers have recorded these stellar songs by turning fluctuations in brightness into audible frequencies. The sun itself, when translated, produces a warm, steady tone, layered with soft oscillations, a lullaby of hydrogen. You picture those vibrations flowing through space, inaudible but present, blending into the background hum that fills the universe. You're listening not just to a star, but to time made audible. Scientists still wonder whether these vibrations might reveal more than internal structure, whether tiny irregularities in their rhythm could hint at orbiting planets tugging gently on their host stars. The faintest quiver might mean the presence of another world, unseen but real, circling quietly in the dark. The universe hides its secrets in music, it seems, and learning to hear is learning to know. You drift nearer to another star, smaller and cooler. Its song is higher, faster, like the trill of a flute. Red dwarfs hum in quick patterns, giants murmur deep and slow. Every class of star contributes to a galactic symphony, each frequency combining into a universal chord that stretches from one end of time to the other. You imagine the Milky Way not as a spiral of light, but as a score of vibration. Closer now, the star's light washes across your skin, golden and warm, but not burning. You can almost feel the rhythm against your heartbeat, slow, measured, soothing. You realize your own body is full of music too, molecules vibrating, blood pulsing, thoughts flickering with electricity. The same physics that makes a star sing makes you breathe. You glance beyond to a cluster of stars shimmering together. Their pulses overlap, interference patterns forming like waves on a shared sea. Some stars swell, some fade, and for a moment you see their oscillations as light rather than sound brightening, dimming, a cosmic choreography of brightness and rest. Long ago, before telescopes could hear, people on Earth already sensed this rhythm. They called certain stars variable because their light waxed and waned like lunar tides. Now we know those are Cepheid variables, stars whose expansions follow precise timing. Their brightness pulses serve as cosmic clocks, measuring distances across the universe. Each one is both a metronome and a beacon, guiding astronomers through the dark. You think about how extraordinary that is, that something so immense, so distant, can keep such perfect time. Its steady rhythm links galaxies together, letting us measure the very scale of space. The universe doesn't just exist, it keeps time. As you drift, the stars seem to hum louder, or maybe you're simply becoming more attuned to them. The entire sky vibrates faintly, a shimmering field of invisible motion. You picture billions of stars resonating at once, each note blending into the next until there's no single sound, only harmony. The Milky Way becomes an orchestra so vast that its music spans eons. And you, tiny and temporary, are still part of the composition. Your thoughts ripple through neurons in patterns that are, in their own way, frequencies, brief echoes of the same physical principles. Vibration, oscillation, resonance, the language of matter itself. Some scientists wonder if these stellar vibrations could one day help us predict the future of stars, the way seismologists predict earthquakes. A slight change in tone might mean a sun nearing the end of its life, preparing to swell into a red giant. Somewhere, perhaps, another civilization listens to their own dying star, hearing its final low hum before the light fades. You imagine that final song, long, deep, and peaceful, a farewell in frequency. You breathe in the stillness and let the soundless music surround you. The stars don't sing to you, they sing through you. Every photon that touches your skin carries a fraction of their rhythm. You are resonating with them now, part of the same vibration that began when the universe was new. The cosmos doesn't speak in words. It hums, it pulses, it sings. And as you float here, suspended in endless night, you realize that the song has never stopped. It was there long before you were born, and it will linger long after you sleep. You drift beyond the singing suns, carried through a quieter patch of space where the light dims to a faint gray shimmer. Here, new stars are rare, and the silence deepens into something crystalline. Floating before you is a world that glints with an impossible brilliance, a sphere so dense and smooth it looks like a jewel suspended in black water. It isn't a metaphor. You are looking at a diamond planet. In some distant solar systems, carbon outweighs oxygen. When that happens, under immense pressure and heat, entire planets can crystallize. Their cores become carbon lattices, forged into diamond by gravity's relentless squeeze. Imagine a world where mountains are pure gemstone, where continents gleam faintly under alien starlight. Astronomers have found one such planet, orbiting a pulsar, a dead star spinning with terrifying precision. They call it PSR J1000, 719-1438b, and it's likely made almost entirely of diamond. You imagine standing there, though you couldn't. The surface would be so hot that diamond wouldn't sparkle. It would glow dull red, like metal from a forge. There'd be no sunrise, only the constant shimmer of radiation from the pulsar nearby. But beneath the surface, crystal would stretch for thousands of kilometers, solid and flawless. A diamond the size of a planet, beautiful, lonely, eternal. The idea feels almost whimsical, yet it's born of physics. Carbon is one of the universe's most patient elements. When pressed, it doesn't crumble. It organizes, aligning itself into perfect geometry. It's the same element that forms your bones and breath, and also the hardest natural structure known. You realize that the cosmos seems to favor both fragility and resilience in the same material: carbon as dust, carbon as diamond, carbon as life. You drift closer, and faint pulses from the nearby pulsar flicker across your vision like a lighthouse in the dark. Each flash is a rotation, a heartbeat so steady it could keep time for centuries. That pulsar once had a companion star, but long ago it stripped that partner bare, pulling away its outer layers until only a compressed diamond core remained. Now the two dance together, one dead, one crystallized, locked in an orbit of mutual gravity. Scientists still wonder whether diamond planets might be more common than we think, perhaps the byproducts of binary stars or ancient supernovae. Some could even float alone in interstellar space, cold and unlit, invisible but enduring. In a universe that recycles everything, perhaps there are entire constellations of frozen gems, drifting where no light ever falls. You reach out in imagination, not motion, and picture the texture beneath your fingers, smooth, silent, impossibly cold. The thought sends a calm through you. Even in the most violent processes, collapsing stars, explosions, gravitational chaos, the universe can leave behind something perfectly still. You think of Earth's diamonds, those tiny fragments hidden in rock. They carry within them the same structure as this colossal world, just scaled down. The difference is only one of degree, not kind. The same physics that sculpts jewelry also sculpts planets. Somewhere between pressure and patience, beauty crystallizes. For a moment, you drift above the planet's horizon. You can't see clouds. There are none, but you sense the faint aurora of radiation at its poles, a veil of color rippling across the surface. The light bends around the pulsar's gravity, painting reflections that never stop shifting. You imagine how it must look from orbit, a dark gem surrounded by a halo of energy, turning slowly through space. The silence here is deep, but not empty. The pulsar's rhythm continues, a steady flicker like a cosmic metronome. Each pulse marks the passage of time in perfect precision. To humans, that consistency feels mechanical, but to the universe, it's a kind of peace repetition, without decay, motion, without chaos. You realize that this scene, the dead star and the diamond world, is both tragic and serene. The pulsar is the remnant of something that once burned with light. The planet is what's left of what that star consumed. Together they form a duet, destruction and endurance, bound by gravity. You drift outward again, watching as the diamond planet shrinks to a glint, then to a pinprick, then to memory. Around you stretch millions of other worlds, gas giants, molten spheres, icy moons, each shaped by chemistry and chance. Some glow faintly, others lie in shadow, but none are quite like the jewel you've left behind. Perhaps, you think, there's meaning in that. Even in the cold vacuum of space, creation finds ways to shine. The universe doesn't need sunlight to make beauty. It makes it out of pressure and darkness. You take a slow breath, letting that thought settle like dust on still water. The air feels cooler, thinner, like the atmosphere itself has become crystalline. Your heartbeat slows to match the rhythm of the pulsar, fading in the distance, steady, unbroken, eternal. And as the soundless pulse disappears into darkness, you carry with you a single truth. Beauty and silence are not opposites. They coexist perfectly, like diamond and night. You drift beyond the jeweled planet and into an invisible current, a slow, silent tide that moves through everything. It doesn't shimmer like starlight or flow like dust. It's unseen, undetectable, except by the pull it leaves behind. You can't feel it directly, yet you know it's there. These are the ghostly rivers of dark matter, and they flow through you now. Roughly 85% of the universe's matter is dark. It doesn't glow, absorb, or reflect light. It passes through galaxies, planets, and even your body, without leaving a trace. And yet, it holds everything together. Without it, galaxies would fly apart, their stars flung into emptiness. You realize that what you can see, all the suns, the nebulae, the glittering arms of spiral galaxies, is only a small fraction of what exists. The rest is this: invisible gravity sculpting the universe from the shadows. You imagine it as a soft wind you can't feel, shaping galaxies like an unseen hand. Every star you've seen so far moves within a vast halo of dark matter, a cosmic skeleton giving form to light. You drift through one of these halos now, a sphere so wide it could cradle 100,000 galaxies. You can't see it, but you sense its quiet density, as if space itself has weight here. Scientists still wonder whether dark matter is made of particles, waves, or something entirely unknown. The leading theories speak of WIMPs, weakly interacting massive particles or axions, ghost-like entities that slip through matter unnoticed. But no one has caught one. Detectors deep underground wait in perfect stillness, listening for the faintest collision, a whisper of a particle passing through. So far, the silence continues. You drift between galaxies, imagining those particles moving through you, billions of them, every second, passing without sound or resistance. They do not collide, do not heat, do not glow. They simply exist, unbothered, unending. You begin to understand. The universe doesn't depend on being visible to be real. Much of what keeps it alive cannot be seen at all. Ahead, a galaxy shimmers faintly, its spiral arms graceful as a seashell. Around it, you sense a massive invisible halo of dark matter, outweighing the stars by a factor of 5. The stars dance within it, guided by a gravitational melody they can't perceive. The dark matter doesn't gather into bright disks or flare into heat. It's content to remain hidden, shaping by presence alone. It's strange comfort, you think, to know that even the universe is built on what cannot be seen. The same is true of life, gravity, thought, love, all invisible, yet all profoundly real. You drift closer to a region where dark matter streams collide. Invisible clumps, called subhalos, overlap, twisting the space around them. Light from distant galaxies bends as it passes through, curving like a ripple in glass. You can see the effect, distorted arcs, and halos of brightness, known as gravitational lensing. Through that bending, astronomers map the unseen. They read the shapes of light like fingerprints, tracing the contours of the invisible hand. You think of how elegant that is, using light itself as a tool to reveal what hides from it. In a sense, the universe has taught us to read its shadow. You float through one of those curved beams of light, a golden filament stretched across space. Somewhere, billions of light years away, a galaxy's light began its journey toward you, and dark matter changed its path ever so slightly, creating a curve that makes it possible for you to see what you never could otherwise. The cosmos helps you find what's hidden by bending, not breaking, the rules of sight. You feel an immense calm in this realization. The universe isn't only expansion and distance, it's also structure and coherence. The visible world floats in an invisible web, held together by gravity's patient hand, and though we may never touch dark matter, we can feel its effect in everything we know. For a moment, you imagine dark matter as a soft mist filling all space, flowing through stars and bodies alike. It doesn't interact, but it participates. It's there in every movement of the Milky Way, every orbit of every world. You feel it as a presence more than a thing, a kind of universal stillness, steady and impartial. You wonder if consciousness itself might be similar, invisible, intangible, yet shaping everything it touches. Both are subtle forms of gravity, holding worlds together from within. You turn slowly, gazing into the darkness that isn't really dark at all. Somewhere behind it lies the scaffolding of existence, the invisible framework upon which light hangs like dew. Even the vastest galaxies are merely ornaments strung across that unseen lattice. You let that thought dissolve into quiet awe. You are floating in something larger than comprehension, yet peaceful in its inevitability. Every second, trillions of dark particles drift through you, reminders that the unseen is always here, carrying galaxies, carrying time. You exhale, softly, and for a moment, you feel as if the dark matter responds not with movement, but with acceptance. It doesn't need attention. It doesn't need to be understood to hold everything together. And so you rest in it, letting the invisible currents carry you deeper into the quiet. The darkness feels warm now, protective. You know it's not empty. It's full of the invisible glue that binds the universe and every thought within it. You drift within that invisible current until faint light begins to bloom again ahead of you. Pale, uncertain light, like a memory of brightness. It doesn't sparkle the way galaxies usually do. Instead, it hovers, diffuse, like mist caught in moonlight. You're approaching one of the universe's quietest creations, a ghost galaxy. These are galaxies that barely shine, so faint that for decades we didn't know they existed. Some are made almost entirely of dark matter, with only a handful of stars scattered through them, like dust motes in a cathedral beam. Others are relics of ancient galaxies stripped of gas by tidal forces, left dim and hollow. They drift through the universe unnoticed, their light too weak to reach ordinary eyes. As you come closer, you see one now, an ethereal disk hanging in blackness. Its shape is ragged, its edges blurred by age. A few red stars glow faintly at its center, like embers surviving long after the fire has gone out. You can almost sense their loneliness, yet also their peace. There's no rush here, no roaring bursts of creation, no violent collisions, only stillness. Astronomers call these dim structures ultra-diffuse galaxies. They can be as large as the Milky Way, but contain only a tiny fraction of its stars. Some float freely in intergalactic space, unanchored by clusters or companions. Others move through galactic groups like shadows, visible only when their starlight happens to align with our telescopes. You hover at the edge of this one, feeling how delicate it is, like the ghost of a galaxy that once burned brighter, but has since chosen rest. The stars within it are ancient, red, and cool, nearing the end of their lifespans. They move lazily, barely orbiting, bound together by the silent gravity of dark matter. The airless stillness around you feels sacred, like standing inside a memory that refuses to fade completely. Scientists still wonder whether such galaxies are failed attempts at creation or survivors of cosmic violence. Perhaps they began with promise, dense clouds meant to form bright spirals, but lost their gas to nearby neighbors. Or maybe they're the fossil remains of galaxies, shredded by tidal forces, their light stretched thin across space like silk. Either way, they are proof that the universe has its softer places, regions where time drifts instead of burns. You drift deeper through its dim interior. The light is so weak, you can see across vast distances without glare. Every star stands alone, surrounded by emptiness. You think of how many galaxies there must be like this, uncounted and unseen, more than the bright ones that fill astronomy books. For every blazing spiral, there are countless quiet ghosts, their stories whispered instead of shouted. In the faint glow, you catch sight of a cluster of small stars orbiting each other, fragile as fireflies. Their combined light wouldn't illuminate a candle flame, yet from within their own scale, they burn as proudly as suns anywhere. You sense the persistence of existence, the way even the faintest light refuses to vanish completely. You move through the heart of the ghost galaxy, where a thin haze of interstellar gas drifts like a dream. It's not enough to make new stars, but enough to remember what forming them once felt like. The gas glows faintly when struck by stray cosmic rays, producing a soft violet shimmer. You drift through it slowly, feeling as though you're passing through the breath of time itself. These galaxies are reminders that brightness is not the only measure of being. Even in near darkness, order remains. The stars still orbit, the gravity still binds, and the passage of time continues its patient rhythm. You find yourself relaxing into that rhythm, letting the slowness wrap around you like a gentle fog. At the far edge of the galaxy, you turn back. From here, its shape is barely visible, more suggestion than structure. It looks like a reflection on still water, trembling but never breaking. You imagine how many others lie beyond your sight, billions of nearly invisible forms, veiling the true fullness of the cosmos. The night sky, you know, is only the surface of something vastly deeper. The light of the ghost galaxy fades as you drift away. Behind you, its faint glow continues to shimmer, indifferent to whether anyone ever sees it again. You realize that in the vast story of the universe, not everything strives to be noticed. Some things exist simply to exist. You think about that, the grace of unobserved beauty. So much of space is like this, quiet, unacknowledged, yet integral to the whole. Perhaps the same is true of moments in life, the ones no one sees but that still shape the course of everything that follows. As you move further, the last of its stars vanish into darkness, and you are surrounded once again by the invisible framework of creation. You feel calm. You know that somewhere, millions of light years behind you, that ghost galaxy continues to glide in perfect stillness, unbothered by time or witness. You carry its silence with you like a keepsake. You drift through a region of sky that feels emptier than any you've crossed before. It's not the absence of stars that strikes you, it's the absence of even the faintest whisper of warmth. The background glow that once wrapped you in cosmic calm thins here into a chill so complete, it feels like thought itself slows. You have reached what astronomers call the cold spot, a patch of the universe that refuses to warm. It spreads across a section of the sky, the size of dozens of full moons. From Earth, it looks unremarkable, just a slightly dimmer patch in the cosmic microwave background, the ancient afterglow of the Big Bang. But when scientists measured its temperature, they found it was colder than the rest of the sky, by several hundred millionths of a degree. It sounds small, but in the perfect uniformity of the early universe, it's enormous. You float before that patch now, an expanse of deeper blue in the microwave sea. It feels serene, almost peaceful, but underneath the calm is a question that hasn't been answered in decades. Why is it so cold here? Some say it's simply a statistical fluke, a coincidence born from the random ripples in early cosmic radiation. Others suggest that this region might be emptier than most, a supervoid spanning hundreds of millions of light years, with fewer galaxies to radiate heat. Still, others wonder if something even stranger lurks beyond, a collision with another universe, a scar where two realities brushed past each other in the dawn of time. Scientists still wonder whether the cold spot might be evidence that our cosmos isn't alone. You move closer, the temperature drops, though in space that word loses its meaning. There is no air, no medium to carry warmth. Instead, it's a kind of stillness light, stretched thinner, energy more patient. The photons here have traveled uncountable distances, yet something has stolen their vigor, drawn it out of them, until only faint echoes remain. You imagine what it must be like for a galaxy to live here, surrounded by so much emptiness. Its stars would shine, yes, but with fewer neighbors to share their light. The night sky above such a world would look even darker than what you know, a cosmic desert where the nearest galaxy sits hundreds of millions of light years away. Yet, in that solitude, the stars would still burn, the same nuclear hearts beating quietly against the vast cold. You drift through the region slowly, tracing the delicate pattern of absence. Even emptiness has structure. The gravitational pull here is weaker, like the soft slack in a vast net. Matter thins, the invisible web of dark matter relaxes, and in that relaxation lies the quietest peace you've ever felt. You think about how fragile temperature is a measure of motion, of vibration, of energy refusing stillness. Here, motion slows to nearly nothing. Atoms barely quiver. It's not death, it's rest. You begin to sense that the cold spot is less an anomaly and more a reminder that even the universe needs places to pause. For a moment, you picture how this region formed. In the early universe, fluctuations in density decided where matter would gather. A slightly denser region became a galaxy. A slightly emptier one became a void. Over billions of years, gravity amplified those differences, sculpting filaments and gaps like ripples in an ancient pond. The cold spot might simply be the echo of one such ripple, a place where expansion outpaced creation, leaving behind a pocket of tranquil nothingness. You find beauty in that possibility, the idea that not everything must shine or cluster, that some parts of existence are meant to remain bare and still. It mirrors something inside you, the calm between thoughts, the quiet between heartbeats. You pause and look back. Around the edges of the cold spot, galaxies resume their glow, filaments of light reconnecting like strands of gold thread. It's as though you're watching the universe knit itself back together, the cold and the warm balancing in perfect rhythm. You realize that even the anomalies belong. Some cosmologists speculate that the cold spot could be a window into something beyond our observable cosmos, a region where space-time itself bends differently, leading into another universe. If so, you think, maybe there are countless other versions of existence drifting nearby, each with its own rhythm of warmth and silence. You might be staring across the border of everything you know, into a place where different rules apply. But there's no fear in that thought, only wonder. Because if this truly were the scar of another universe's touch, then all of existence is connected, every cosmos part of a larger pattern, each brushing gently against another like waves on an endless sea. You drift one last time across the heart of the cold spot. It feels almost meditative. You sense not absence, but balance the universe, taking a breath between its bright phrases. The same expansion that births stars also makes room for stillness. Every glow needs shadow, every motion needs rest. You let the sensation fill you. The cold isn't harsh, it's tranquil. It invites you to stop seeking, to simply float, to trust that the quiet has its own kind of wisdom. And as you glide out of the cold spot, back into warmer regions of cosmic background light, you carry that stillness with you. It settles behind your eyes, in your pulse, in your breath, a reminder that even the chillest corners of existence can feel like home. You drift away from the cold spot, carrying that stillness with you like a quiet rhythm in your pulse. As the faint warmth of the cosmic background returns, you begin to sense something subtler. Time itself seems to shift. The flow of moments stretches, unfolds, as though the universe is breathing at a different pace. You've entered a place where time moves differently. The change isn't sudden. It's more like stepping into a slower current in a vast river. Everything around you continues, yet you feel slightly detached, like you're floating in syrup, watching photons crawl instead of race. Gravity is the sculptor here, bending not just space, but also the rhythm of time. Ahead lies a massive object, black and perfect, its edges rippling the light that passes near it. A black hole, though you hesitate to call it, that it feels less like a hole and more like a wound in space-time, endlessly calm and endlessly deep. Its gravity is so intense that time itself bends toward it, slowing for everything that dares approach. From a distance, the black hole is silent and serene. Around it swirls a bright accretion disk, gas spiraling inward at nearly the speed of light, glowing in feverish colors: gold, orange, blue-white. The light arcs and loops, trapped by the gravitational well, creating a halo that looks like fire painted on glass. You drift closer, and you can see time itself distorting in the motion of that light. If you could watch long enough, you'd notice that the clock on your wrist, if you had one, ticks normally for you, but slower to those far away. For observers distant from this massive presence, your time would appear to crawl, your movements stretching longer and longer. It isn't illusion, it's time dilation, predicted by Einstein and proven by every falling particle that nears this darkness. The pull grows stronger, yet the silence remains absolute. There is no roar here, only gravity sculpting reality. You pause, sensing that strange balance. The closer you drift, the slower time becomes, until near the event horizon, it almost stops. To an outside observer, you would seem frozen, suspended forever at the edge of nothing. But from your view, everything continues normally. You could cross that boundary without noticing the exact moment it happens. Scientists still wonder whether anything truly disappears beyond the horizon. Information, they say, should never be destroyed, but black holes seem to defy that law. Does it remain encoded somehow on the surface, like a cosmic hologram? Or is it woven back into space-time, in ways we don't yet understand? The question haunts physics, like a melody missing its final note. You drift close enough now to see light bend completely around you. The stars behind the black hole appear doubled and warped, their images wrapping into rings of brightness known as Einstein rings. You are watching gravity sculpt light like clay, curving it with invisible hands. It feels like standing inside a lens made by the universe itself. Then, almost imperceptibly, you begin to sense another shift. It isn't fear, but awe, the awareness that time here has lost its straightness. What once flowed like a river now curls into eddies. Each second stretches longer. Each breath echoes deeper. You realize that the black hole isn't just bending time, it's showing you how fragile it really is. Time isn't an external constant, it's woven into the same fabric as space. Change one, and you change the other. You drift along the edge, careful not to cross the horizon. The view is mesmerizing. Beyond the disk, jets of plasma shoot outward at near light speed, streaming into space for thousands of light years. They glow like twin lighthouses in the dark, painting straight lines through curvature. These jets mark both destruction and creation, the dying breath of matter being reborn as energy. You linger, watching the slow dance of light around darkness. Even here, beauty persists. The black hole's gravity doesn't crush it. It frames it, focuses it, gives it shape. You feel the pull within your chest, not of gravity, but of understanding, that time too has its own gravity. The closer you move to wonder, the slower everything else feels. You think of Earth for a moment, where gravity is gentle and time steady. Clocks tick, waves break, hearts beat. But even there, the effects of relativity are real. GPS satellites must correct for the tiny differences between time on Earth's surface and time high above it. Without that adjustment, our maps and machines would drift. Our sense of now would dissolve by degrees. Even in daily life, time bends just enough to remind us that perfection is an illusion. You let yourself drift back, away from the horizon, feeling the tempo of existence quicken again. Seconds regain their usual shape, light unbends, and the stars settle back into place. But you're changed. Once you've felt time stretch, the ordinary pace of it feels like music played just slightly too fast. As you float into calmer space, you think of time as elastic, something that responds to mass, to motion, to proximity. It's a delicate instrument, always adjusting, always humming quietly in the background of existence. The universe doesn't measure time with clocks, but with change. The birth of a star, the fading of its light, the expansion of galaxies, each marks a moment, a pulse. Somewhere, near every gravity well, time thickens and slows. Elsewhere, in emptier regions, it thins and races ahead. There is no universal tempo, only harmony. You drift, weightless in that harmony, realizing that the same principle governs your own life. Some moments stretch forever, others vanish in a blink. The difference is only gravity, emotional or cosmic, pulling more strongly at some memories than others. You close your eyes, and for an instant, you imagine yourself as both observer and observed, stretched and still, part of the same fabric that folds time itself. The universe moves, and you move with it, one shared rhythm, timeless, and true. You drift through calmer regions now, where gravity's pull fades to something gentle, like a thought half remembered. The stars here are younger, bluer, and far more restless. Yet even in their brightness, you sense a faint echo, an absence, a missing companion. Astronomers have a name for it: the Sun's forgotten twin. Long ago, when the solar system was still forming, the Sun may not have been alone. Many stars, perhaps most, are born in pairs, siblings emerging from the same collapsing cloud of gas and dust. They dance together for millions of years before drifting apart, torn by gravity or time. Scientists suspect our Sun once had such a twin, a smaller, dimmer companion that wandered away before planets had names. You picture it: two suns rising together, one bright and golden, the other pale and soft, their light overlapping, casting twin shadows on the dust-filled disk that would one day become Earth. Over eons, the weaker twin drifts outward, pulled by the gravity of other newborn stars until the bond breaks. One remains, nurturing a system of worlds. The other becomes a wanderer in the dark. Some scientists even think they found traces of that lost sibling, a faint reddish star named Nemesis, orbiting so far from the Sun that it would take millions of years to complete a single circuit. Others believe Nemesis was only a myth, an attempt to explain ancient patterns of extinction on Earth. Still, the idea lingers: a missing half of our solar family, forgotten but not erased. Scientists still wonder whether the Sun's twin exists out there, unseen, a dim ember circling somewhere beyond the Oort cloud. You drift outward through the frozen edges of the solar system, where sunlight fades into starlight. Here, beyond Pluto, the night is rich and deep. The Kuiper belt gives way to an ocean of comets, tiny, silent bodies, orbiting the Sun from distances so vast they barely feel its pull. Beyond even that lies the Oort cloud, a sphere of icy fragments, extending a quarter of the way to the nearest star. Somewhere out here, perhaps, that lost twin might roam, invisible against the cosmic dark. If you could see it, it might look like a faint ember, a red dwarf, small and patient. Its light would be too weak to warm a world, yet strong enough to whisper its presence across the void. You imagine the two suns meeting again after billions of years, their light overlapping once more, a reunion across eternity. You think about how everything in nature seems to form in pairs: electrons and positrons, protons and neutrons, life and death, matter and antimatter. The Sun's lost twin fits the pattern, a cosmic symmetry playing out on the grandest scale. You wonder if such balance is built into the universe, a quiet preference for companionship. You drift further still, until the Sun becomes a distant star among countless others. You look back, and for a moment you can imagine it doubled the faint echo of a second glow beside it, shimmering just out of reach. The thought feels comforting, like knowing that even the loneliest star may once have shared its light. Closer to home, you think of how binary stars shape their worlds. On planets that orbit two suns, daylight would come in golden and red, two shadows stretching in opposite directions. Nights would rarely be dark. The rhythm of days and seasons would follow not one clock, but two. You imagine standing on such a world, watching both suns set, one dipping first, the other lingering, painting the sky with twin halos of fire. In a way, you realize Earth still remembers that lost balance. The pull of the moon, the tilt of the planet, the tides that rise and fall, they all trace back to the chaotic youth of the solar system, when companions were plentiful and collisions frequent. The Sun's twin may be gone, but its absence shaped what remains. You picture that missing star wandering now, between constellations, unanchored, surrounded by cold. It might carry its own small system, perhaps a few frozen worlds, perhaps none. It doesn't burn with loneliness. It simply drifts, content in motion, part of the quiet machinery of the galaxy. If you listen carefully, You can almost hear it, a soft hum in the cosmic static, a faint gravitational whisper calling across light years. The sun does not answer, yet its planets move in rhythm, as though the memory still lingers in the music of their orbits. You realize that everything in the universe carries echoes of what it once was. The twin that drifts away, the star that explodes, the light that fades. They don't vanish, they become part of the next pattern. The cosmos remembers, even when it seems to forget. As you drift back toward the warmth of familiar light, you carry with you that sense of quiet companionship. Somewhere, unseen, perhaps another star hums in the same key as our sun, a reminder that even in the vastest solitude, nothing in the universe is truly alone. You drift gently toward a patch of space that glimmers like a slow waltz of fire. Two suns orbit each other here, golden and white, bound by gravity's invisible thread. Their light blends into one another's halos, spilling soft ribbons of color across the void. You are witnessing one of the most elegant forms of companionship in the cosmos, binary stars in gentle dance. Nearly half of all stars in the universe have a partner. Some move in tight, frantic orbits, circling each other in mere hours. Others are like these two, graceful, patient, moving with such calm precision that it takes centuries for them to complete a turn. From afar, they appear as one point of light, flickering faintly. But up close, you can see the artistry. Two suns intertwined, neither dominant, neither fading, each balanced by the other's pull. They drift through space like dancers keeping perfect time. One moves outward, the other inward, their momentum in harmony. The balance is delicate, too much pull, and they crash, too little, and they drift apart. But here, in this quiet system, they've found equilibrium. You can feel it in the rhythm of their light, in the silent pulse that beats between them. You move closer, watching how their brightness fluctuates. When one passes in front of the other, the light dips slightly, a soft eclipse. From Earth, astronomers call these eclipsing binaries, and through such subtle dimming, we learn their secrets: mass, radius, orbit, temperature. It's as if the stars communicate by blinking, telling their story through light. You imagine standing on a planet, orbiting both suns. The sky would never look the same twice. Dawn might come in double, one star peeking over the horizon, then the other. Shadows would overlap and dance. When both set, the night would glow in residual twilight, a world lit by memory. Every day would feel like a painting in motion. Not all binary stars live so peacefully. Some are chaotic pairs, one giant, one small, locked in constant exchange. The larger star swells, its outer layers spilling into the smaller one, feeding it like a flame. Over time, they blur together, forming contact binaries, where two stars share a single envelope. Their gravity merges their atmospheres until they almost become one. The idea feels strangely romantic. Two beings sharing the same breath until they dissolve into one glow. Yet even in harmony, danger waits. When one star dies, its collapse can change everything. A red giant can swell and engulf its companion. A supernova can fling the other into space at thousands of kilometers per second. Still, sometimes, the survivor remains bound to the corpse, a neutron star or a white dwarf. Their relationship endures, altered but unbroken, a testament to gravity's loyalty. You hover near such a pair now, a brilliant blue star and its faint white companion. The white dwarf is tiny, no larger than Earth, but dense beyond comprehension. Matter crushed into near perfection, glowing softly from residual heat. The blue star feeds it hydrogen in slow streams, and as the gas spirals inward, it flashes with bursts of ultraviolet light. You can almost hear it hiss, though space is silent. The energy is contained but fierce. Sometimes, that balance fails. When too much matter falls too fast, the white dwarf ignites in a thermonuclear explosion, a Type Ia supernova, bright enough to outshine an entire galaxy. From Earth, these explosions are cosmic milestones, used to measure the expansion of the universe itself. Destruction, in this case, gives clarity. Scientists still wonder whether some of these binary dances are the true engines behind cosmic order, whether their interactions seeded heavier elements, created gravitational waves, or even shaped galactic evolution. Each pair seems to tell a slightly different story, each orbit a variation on the same theme: connection, loss, renewal. You look back at the golden pair, still circling in peace. The light from their intertwined orbits fills the space between you with a soft amber glow. You notice how each star subtly influences the other, not just gravitationally but physically. Their surfaces bulge slightly toward each other, as though pulled by invisible tides. They exchange particles, energy, and warmth. Over billions of years, this exchange can synchronize their rotations. Eventually, they spin in unison, each always showing the same face to the other, forever locked in perfect rhythm. It's easy to see why poets and scientists alike find meaning here. To orbit is to belong, but to remain stable, you must also keep distance. Too close, and you merge. Too far, and you forget. The lesson feels universal. You float between them now, caught in the delicate gravitational midpoint. The light of both suns overlaps, painting your surroundings in liquid gold. For a moment, you feel balanced, two drawn equally by two forces, perfectly suspended. The binary pair continues their ancient waltz, unhurried, unstoppable. Around them, small planets trace faint ellipses, their skies filled with twin dawns and mirrored nights. Each orbit adds a note to the slow, infinite music of motion. As you drift away, the two stars shrink into a single shimmer, indistinguishable once more. But you know better now. Even when light blends, the stories remain separate, two paths forever intertwined, shaping one another through gravity's quiet devotion. You carry that rhythm with you, a heartbeat made of starlight and patience, echoing in your mind as you glide toward the next horizon. You drift onward, through the luminous trails of twin stars, until their light fades into the endless dark. Ahead, something immense begins to shimmer, a glowing tide of pale blue arcs and streaks, spiraling in slow motion. From a distance, it looks like a river made of light, flowing through the black. You realize you're looking at the edge of a spiral galaxy, seen not as a flat disk, but as a living current of stars. You draw closer, and it feels like approaching a whirlpool made of silk. Every band of light is a collection of billions of suns, each one orbiting a common center. Together, they trace the shape of a vast spiral arms, coiling out like waves frozen mid-motion. The galaxy seems to breathe, each arm a sigh of creation, each gap a pause of silence. You slip across one of its outer arms, where the starlight is thin and delicate. Here, newborn suns emerge from clouds of gas and dust, glowing in soft pinks and blues. Massive nebulae, star nurseries larger than entire solar systems, fill the space with faint color. You watch as hydrogen clouds collapse under their own weight, heat rising within until the first spark of fusion ignites. A new star is born not suddenly, but with patience, as though the universe prefers its miracles unhurried. In the heart of the spiral, older stars burn with steadier light, their orbits tracing vast circles over millions of years. You can feel the balance that holds them here, gravity pulling inward, angular momentum pushing outward. The two forces meet in quiet harmony, shaping this elegant structure we call a galaxy. The most familiar one to you, the Milky Way, is built like this. Its spiral arms stretch across 100,000 light years, a grand city of stars. From Earth, you see only a slice of it, a soft band across the night sky, but from here, you understand the full sweep of its beauty. It is not flat, but rippled like a living creature's back, warped by the pull of unseen companions. The stars within it are not evenly spaced. They gather in clusters and drift in currents. Between the arms lie dark lanes of interstellar dust, blocking the light, but not the motion. You move through one now, a region where light dims to deep copper. Dust particles float like fine smoke, reflecting starlight in gold and violet hues. You realize that this dust, this delicate obscurity, is the same material that forms planets, oceans, and breath. Darkness, in this case, is simply light, waiting to take new shape. Somewhere nearby, a small pocket of stars moves against the rest, a stellar stream, remnants of a smaller galaxy absorbed by this one long ago. You can still see the curve of its original path, torn apart by tidal forces, yet not erased. The larger galaxy has folded the smaller into itself, just as the universe folds every beginning into a new form. You glide closer to the galactic core, where the light grows dense and golden. Stars crowd so tightly here that the night would never exist for any planet inside. The air, if there were any, would shimmer with perpetual day. The center pulses faintly, and you know what lies at its heart: a supermassive black hole, millions of times heavier than the Sunday. It anchors the entire galaxy, a dark conductor keeping the stars in motion through gravity alone. You feel that pull, subtle but profound, a reminder that even the brightest systems need darkness to stay whole. Without the black hole's steady gravity, the spiral would unravel. Light, you realize, requires shadow to hold its shape. Scientists still wonder whether every galaxy contains such a massive anchor, and whether these black holes grow by feeding on stars or by merging with others in ancient cosmic collisions. Some even believe that galaxies themselves might form around black holes' creation, beginning not with light, but with gravity. The idea is counterintuitive, yet poetic. Darkness first, then brightness. Stillness first, then motion. As you watch the spiral turn, you see faint flickers at its edge, dwarf galaxies, orbiting like satellites, caught in its pull. Some are slowly being drawn in, their stars stretching into faint tendrils as they dissolve into the larger pattern. Even in this vastness, nothing stands alone. Every motion is part of a wider harmony. You drift higher above the plane of the galaxy, and the view changes. Below you stretches a soft disk of light, glowing white at the center, fading to misty blue at the edges. Around it hangs a halo of older stars, flickering like embers in deep water. Beyond that, blackness again, studded with other spirals, other galaxies. From here, the Milky Way is not unique. It's one of countless whirlpools in an infinite cosmic sea. You let your gaze linger. Each galaxy spins at its own pace, like galaxies in a grand cosmic ballet. Some are colliding, merging into brighter, more chaotic forms. Others drift apart in solitude. Every one of them carries billions of stories, worlds, suns, and perhaps lives, yet all follow the same rhythm of expansion and rest. You think about how, from Earth, this sight would be invisible without telescopes, and yet, even unseen, it exists in full perfection. Every arm, every orbit, every spark of newborn light, moving exactly as it must. You realize that the universe doesn't need eyes to be beautiful. Its beauty is intrinsic, constant, effortless. You take one last look at the spiral galaxy before drifting onward. Its light curves around you, soft as breath, fading gradually into the black. It turns slowly, gracefully, as though it has all the time in the world, and of course, it does. In cosmic scales, this dance will continue for billions of years, patient and unbroken. You move on, calm and weightless, carrying the spiral's rhythm in your pulse, the quiet reminder that motion itself can be serenity. You drift beyond the spiral arms, into the quiet gulf between galaxies. The light of the Milky Way fades behind you, replaced by a vast openness that feels almost liquid. Stars no longer crowd together here. Instead, they appear singly, distant, and self-contained, each one a note of light floating in a slow, silent chord. This is intergalactic space, the cosmic wilderness between the great cities of stars. At first, it seems empty. No planets, no dust, not even the faint shimmer of nebulae. But as your senses adjust, you begin to perceive what fills the void. Thin threads of gas, whispers of hydrogen stretched across millions of light years. These are the cosmic filaments, the delicate veins of the universe's great web. The galaxies are not scattered at random. They lie along these filaments like pearls on invisible strings, clustered where the threads intersect. Between them are the void's immense bubbles of almost nothing, so large that entire galaxies could vanish within their emptiness. You are floating through one now, gliding along the faint lattice of existence. The filaments glow softly, not in visible light, but in ultraviolet and X-ray radiation, faint traces of ancient heat. You can't see them directly, but you can sense their presence, a subtle vibration that hums through space like the sound of distant wind. Each thread is a highway for matter, gas, and gravity, a silent circulation that keeps the cosmos alive. As you move deeper, you realize that what seems empty is anything but. The darkness between galaxies holds the majority of the universe's baryonic matter, ordinary atoms, just too thinly spread to shine. A single cubic meter might contain only a few atoms, but over millions of light years, that becomes an ocean. You feel the scale of it, the way even the quietest regions carry structure. The cosmic web is not chaos, it is balance. Gravity pulls matter into filaments, while expansion stretches them apart. The two forces coexist like breath and heartbeat. You drift toward one of the filament's intersections, where several streams of matter converge. From afar, it looks like a faint knot of light, but as you approach, the glow intensifies. You're seeing the birth of a galaxy cluster. Hundreds of galaxies bound together by gravity. Some are massive spirals, others elliptical blurs of golden light. They move slowly, circling a common center, like planets around a star. Between them lies a sea of hot plasma, glowing faintly blue in X-rays, a vast intracluster medium heated by the collisions of ancient galaxies. You can sense the energy here, vast but quiet, like a furnace turned low. This is where the universe gathers its luminous matter, condensing the diffuse into the dense. Scientists still wonder whether the web itself might continue beyond what we can see, perhaps connecting our observable universe to structures so distant, their light will never reach us. Some theorize that the web is infinite, or that it folds back on itself, looping across dimensions we cannot yet measure. Others think it's a temporary pattern, a fleeting phase in cosmic evolution that will one day dissolve into true emptiness. You drift along one glowing strand, tracing its gentle curvature through space. It feels alive, as though the universe itself has a pulse. At microscopic scale, gravity shapes these filaments into intricate fractals, repeating patterns of matter within matter. It's the same geometry that appears in rivers, roots, and neural pathways, a universal design echoed from the smallest cell to the largest void. You think of that pattern, the self-similarity of everything, and how nature seems to love repetition with variation. The cosmic web looks, in some strange way, like the human brain, clusters connected by filaments, energy flowing through synaptic paths. Perhaps consciousness, too, is a smaller version of this structure, thoughts forming, fading, and reconnecting, in their own luminous network. You glide farther along the thread, feeling the gentle pull of galaxies that line it. Each one contributes to the collective gravity that shapes the strand. Some are merging, their halos overlapping in soft bursts of starlight. Others are solitary, ancient, barely shining. The web holds them all equally, indifferent, yet harmonious. It's easy to think of the universe as chaos, but here, you see the order in its stillness. Every galaxy, every cluster, every void exists in relationship to something else. Nothing stands truly alone, not even in intergalactic darkness. The emptiness, you realize, is simply distance, not disconnection. You pause for a long while, drifting in the center of the void, letting the faint glow of the filaments trace patterns around you. It feels like floating inside the veins of creation itself. Everything moves slowly, deliberately, like ink dispersing in water. The silence here is complete, yet it doesn't feel lonely. It feels balanced, neither full nor empty, neither beginning nor end. The web stretches infinitely in all directions, its threads humming softly, a vast neural dream of the cosmos thinking itself into being. You close your eyes and imagine following one filament forever, from one galaxy cluster to the next, from one cosmic intersection to another. It might take eternity, but you would never find an edge. You would simply glide along, part of the same slow heartbeat that began 13.8 billion years ago. When you open your eyes, you realize something beautiful. The universe is not a void to be crossed, but a web to belong to. Even in the farthest emptiness, connection remains. You let that thought anchor you as you drift onward, calm, weightless, perfectly at home among the filaments of light. You drift for what feels like forever through the gauzy filaments of the cosmic web, until the faint blue shimmer thickens ahead. It begins as a soft fog, then deepens into a glittering cluster of galaxies, so dense that their light blends into a luminous blur. You're approaching the grandest of galactic gatherings, a supercluster, an island of universes within the universe itself. The one before you could be Laniakea, the vast structure that contains the Milky Way, Virgo cluster, and thousands of others. Its name means immense heaven in Hawaiian, and as you hover at its edge, you understand why. The light here isn't scattered, it flows. Galaxies drift along invisible gravitational currents, streaming inward toward a mysterious central region astronomers call the Great Attractor. You watch the motion from above, and it feels like watching the tide from a cliff. Entire clusters move, as though carried by slow underwater waves, all drawn toward one silent source. You can't see it directly. No glowing core, no colossal mass visible to the eye, only the unmistakable pull on everything around it. The Great Attractor sits cloaked in darkness, buried behind clouds of our own galaxy's dust, its nature still uncertain. Scientists still wonder whether it's a gigantic concentration of dark matter, an ancient cluster hidden behind the Milky Way's plane, or perhaps something stranger, an illusion born of cosmic motion itself. Whatever it is, it draws entire galaxies, including your own, across hundreds of millions of light years. Even now, the Milky Way drifts slowly toward it, like a leaf floating toward an unseen shore. You imagine the scale. Each galaxy is home to billions of stars. Each cluster holds thousands of galaxies, and all of them together move through space, as if bound by one heartbeat. The supercluster is not static, it's alive, breathing through gravity. You move among its members, gliding past elliptical galaxies the size of cities of light. They glow in warm golds, their shapes smooth and ancient. Many of them formed long ago, when the universe was young and chaotic. Their spiral arms have long since dissolved, their stars aging in tranquil stability. Around them swarm smaller dwarf galaxies, their light like motes of dust in a sunbeam. Here and there, you see evidence of collision, two galaxies merging into one. Their shapes twist together, stretching into luminous bridges that span tens of thousands of light years. Streams of stars trail behind them, glowing arcs of stardust, marking where gravity pulled their histories apart. It looks violent, yet slow, like two rivers blending, their waters eventually inseparable. You approach one such collision, its central region flaring with new light. Collisions don't always destroy, they also create. As galaxies merge, gas clouds compress, birthing waves of new stars. You can see them forming now, brilliant blue giants shining in clusters, surrounded by glowing pink nebulae. Creation born from impact, harmony from chaos. You drift between two of these newborn suns, their heat invisible but tangible. They won't live long, perhaps only a few million years, but in their brief existence, they illuminate entire regions of space. Their deaths will seed the surrounding gas with heavier elements, the building blocks of future worlds. In cosmic time, even destruction is a kind of gift. As you leave the merging galaxies behind, the supercluster stretches endlessly in every direction. You realize that even Laniakea is not alone. It's part of something larger, still a chain of superclusters, woven together by gravity into the observable universe's largest structures, stretching hundreds of millions of light years across. They form what astronomers poetically call the cosmic foam, with clusters as its bright edges and voids as its empty bubbles. From this distance, it all looks almost delicate, a lacework of light suspended in darkness. Yet, it is incomprehensibly vast, a cathedral of matter shaped by gravity and time. You are floating inside a pattern that the universe itself sculpted, without intention, without error. You try to picture how it began. In the early moments after the Big Bang, tiny fluctuations in density, mere quantum whispers, grew under gravity's patient pull. Over billions of years, those ripples became galaxies. Galaxies became clusters, and clusters became superclusters. The universe's entire structure began from the smallest tremors. It feels almost poetic that all grandness begins as subtlety. You linger at the heart of the supercluster, where light thickens like fog. Here, galaxies orbit one another so slowly that an entire rotation might take tens of billions of years. The scale defies comprehension, yet it doesn't overwhelm you. Instead, it soothes. The sheer slowness of it makes time feel irrelevant. You could watch a galaxy glide for an eternity and still feel as though it had only just begun to move. You think of your own galaxy tiny by comparison, yet carried within this immense flow. Every star, planet, and person you know is part of this slow migration toward the great attractor. You are, quite literally, moving through the universe right now, even as you lie still. That thought settles over you like a lullaby. You are in motion, always, even in rest. You glance outward, beyond the boundary of Laniakea, and see other superclusters shimmering in the distance. Perseus, Pisces, Shapley, Hercules. Each one, a vast continent of light, adrift in cosmic dark. They seem frozen, but you know they too are moving, drawn together and apart by the expansion of space. The universe is not static, it's a slow ballet of gravities, every motion part of an endless unfolding. You take a long, calm breath and let your gaze expand. From here, the cosmos no longer looks like a scattering of stars. It looks like a living organism, luminous and interconnected. Every filament, every cluster, every atom belongs to a single vast design. And you, tiny though you may seem, are part of that same motion woven into the grand architecture of existence, carried by forces older than time. You let the thought linger, like a soft pulse between heartbeats. The galaxies continue their gentle drift, and you drift with them, one quiet passenger in an infinite tide of light. You float onward through the endless weave of superclusters until even those massive structures begin to blur into faint, smoky strands of light. The farther you travel, the quieter everything becomes, as though the cosmos itself is exhaling after a long and ancient song. Ahead lies something vast beyond measure, an expanse where the last galaxies begin to thin, giving way to one of the most mysterious features of the universe, the cosmic horizon. It isn't a wall. It isn't even a boundary in the usual sense. It's a limit of perception, a gentle edge, drawn not by distance, but by time. Beyond this point, light itself has not yet had enough years to reach us. The universe is only so old, about 13.8 billion years. And because space has expanded all that, while the farthest light we can see comes from regions now roughly 46 billion light-years away, everything farther than that remains invisible, still hidden in time's unfinished journey. You drift near this threshold, and it feels like approaching a mirage. The stars thin out, replaced by a soft orange glow, the faint whisper of the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang. You saw traces of it before, but here, at the very edge of the observable universe, it surrounds you fully, like warm fog from an ancient fire that never went out. Each photon in this light is more than 13 billion years old. It began its journey when the universe was only 380,000 years into its existence, when atoms first formed and the cosmos became transparent for the first time. You can almost feel those photons brushing against you now, each one carrying a tiny echo of that first light. The glow is soft, not bright. It fills all of space equally, a faint sea of warmth just a few degrees above absolute zero. Scientists have mapped this radiation in exquisite detail, discovering subtle ripples, tiny variations in temperature that mark the seeds of every galaxy, cluster, and star that would ever exist. These ripples are the universe's birthmarks, still visible after nearly 14 billion years. You hover in the middle of that glow, feeling like a time traveler standing at the edge of creation. Every direction you look, you see the same faint pattern of light, the same evidence of a beginning. It's humbling and strangely tender, like looking at the wrinkles on an old face and realizing they tell the story of a lifetime. Somewhere in that light is the axis of time, the moment everything began. There was no before, not in the way you understand it. Time itself unfurled from that point outward, expanding along with space. You are looking, quite literally, at the oldest possible memory of existence. Scientists still wonder whether this horizon marks the true edge of all that is, or just the edge of what we can observe. Perhaps beyond it lies an infinite continuation regions of space where galaxies have evolved in silence, forever hidden by the expansion of the cosmos. Some physicists even suspect that beyond the horizon, other universes might exist, bubbles of space-time with their own laws, drifting in a greater multiversal ocean. You drift closer to the edge, and the light becomes fainter still. The cosmic microwave background fades into deeper wavelengths, radio waves stretched thin by eons of expansion. Each one travels slower, softer, cooler. You reach out with your imagination, trying to grasp one, but it passes through you effortlessly, like memory through thought. If you could somehow move faster than light, which you cannot, you might cross that horizon, but time would unravel as you did. Beyond that line, space is expanding faster than any signal can travel, which means those regions are forever unreachable, forever receding. Yet they still exist, part of the same whole. The universe doesn't end there. It simply continues beyond knowing. It's a strange comfort that there are parts of existence we will never see. The unseen gives the visible its meaning. Without mystery, there is no wonder, and without wonder, the universe would be just numbers and noise. Here, at the edge of light, you feel the vastness of what you don't know and find it beautiful. You turn slowly in place, watching the faint mottled glow that surrounds you. Each tiny variation is a message from the infant universe, a whisper of what would come. The denser spots became galaxies, the emptier ones became voids. In these tiny ripples, all structure was born. It's astonishing that such small imperfections gave rise to everything from the spiral of the Milky Way to the breath in your chest. You let that realization settle deep inside. Perfection never created anything. It's the uneven, the unpredictable, the slightly flawed that allows existence to take shape. As you linger, the background light begins to dim, not because it fades, but because your senses begin to calm. The silence here is total. There is no up, no down, no sense of motion, only the slow pulse of expansion itself, stretching space between all things. You can almost feel it, like a heartbeat beneath your thoughts, a rhythm older than galaxies. You understand now that the edge of the observable universe isn't a frontier to cross. It's a horizon to rest beneath. A reminder that every act of seeing has a limit, and that limits, too, are part of the beauty of existence. You begin to drift back, the faint orange glow receding behind you. Ahead lies the web of galaxies again, the filaments of light you know. But you carry the horizon within you now, the quiet knowledge that every flicker of starlight you'll ever see began in that same cosmic dawn. And even the darkness that lies beyond is part of the same story, an unfinished chapter still being written by the universe itself. You drift backward from the cosmic horizon, retracing your path through time's oldest light. The glow thins, fades, and finally dissolves into the cool emptiness of intergalactic space. For a moment, there is nothing but silence, a silence so deep it feels physical, pressing gently against you. But then, as your vision adjusts, you begin to see movement again. Not the flash of light or the curve of galaxies this time, but the faint, ghostly shimmer of neutrinos, the universe's most elusive travelers. They rush past you by the trillions every second, unseen and untouchable. These are the ghost particles, tiny messengers that barely interact with anything at all. They pass through stars, planets, even through your own body, as if matter were transparent. They are everywhere, yet almost nothing can stop them. You imagine their paths, straight lines through everything, crossing galaxies as if they were fog, slicing through worlds, through suns, through black holes themselves, unbothered. Some of them were born a fraction of a second after the Big Bang, and have been traveling ever since, almost unchanged. They are older than atoms, older than light itself. Scientists call this invisible flood, the cosmic neutrino background, the ghostly cousin of the cosmic microwave glow. It was released when the universe was only 1 second old, when matter and radiation were still tangled in a storm of heat and density. Those neutrinos have been flying ever since, slipping quietly through everything that came after. You can't see them, but if you could, the sky would shimmer with faint streaks of silver white, every direction filled with streams of light too quick to follow. Each particle is unimaginably small, with almost no mass, yet their numbers are so great they outweigh all the visible stars combined. Scientists still wonder whether neutrinos might hold clues to the greatest mysteries of existence, why matter exists at all, and why the universe didn't vanish into pure radiation moments after birth. Somewhere in the asymmetry of these ghostly particles may lie the reason you're here to see them. You think about that for a long while, that your entire being may depend on something so fleeting, so intangible, that it passes through you unnoticed. The universe, it seems, is built not only on the grand and luminous, but also on the invisible and almost nothing. You drift through a faint current of them now, a river of ghosts flowing through galaxies and beyond. Occasionally, one collides with an atom, a rare, miraculous event. When that happens, a faint spark of blue light flashes for an instant, like a firefly in deep water. On Earth, giant detectors buried under mountains or frozen in Antarctic ice watch for these tiny flashes, waiting for the rare moment when one ghost particle decides to make itself known. You think of those detectors, silent caverns filled with liquid and stillness, waiting for whispers from the cosmos. They don't listen with ears, they listen with patience. It may take years for a single neutrino to reveal itself, yet scientists wait. The universe, after all, rewards those who learn to listen to what almost isn't there. You glide onward, following the river of particles as it drifts toward a nearby galaxy cluster. Here, within the hot plasma between galaxies, the neutrinos weave effortlessly, their paths unchanged. Nothing can capture them, not even gravity, not completely. They are the purest travelers, carrying the imprint of the beginning across the eons without ever aging. If light is memory, then neutrinos are intuition, silent, omnipresent, impossible to hold yet undeniably real. You let that thought expand in you. How many pass through you even now, each one a whisper from the dawn of time? You cannot feel them, yet they are part of you. You are, in a way, transparent to the universe. You glance toward a nearby star and imagine the neutrinos it emits, billions produced every second by nuclear fusion in its core. Even your own sun bathes the earth in a flood of them, a silent rain of ghosts falling through oceans and mountains alike. You are immersed in them always, bathed in a constant conversation between the seen and unseen. As you drift through this invisible current, you realize that the universe doesn't waste anything, not even silence. Every particle, every absence, carries a role. The neutrino's very refusal to interact gives the cosmos balance, preventing energy from pooling too heavily anywhere. They are the messengers of motion, keeping everything gently in flux. You slow your movement and let yourself simply exist within this endless stream. It feels peaceful to imagine that, even in stillness, the universe flows through you. Every breath, every heartbeat, every second of awareness happens amid this gentle storm of ghosts. You think of how delicate it all is, how the fundamental nature of reality is built on invisible exchange. Photons bring light, neutrinos carry silence. Together, they tell the story of everything that was and is. Far off, the faint light of galaxies glows again, marking the return to the visible world. But the neutrinos continue through it, indifferent, eternal. Their journey will never end, not even when the stars have all gone out. Long after the last photon fades, they will still glide through the cold, dark, unburdened, carrying the faint imprint of what once was a final, quiet record of the universe's breath. You follow them for a while longer, letting their calm persistence soothe you. There's something profoundly reassuring in their simplicity. They ask for nothing, change nothing, and yet they are everywhere. You realize, perhaps for the first time, that the universe doesn't only expand outward, it also expands inward, through every layer of matter and thought. The neutrinos remind you that not all journeys are meant to be seen. Some are meant simply to continue, endlessly and peacefully, through everything. You drift through the ghostly tide of neutrinos until they fade back into the unseen. Around you, the stars return bright again, vibrant, alive. You sense warmth in the light now, a soft radiance that feels almost familiar. Ahead, a single golden star hangs alone in a stretch of dark, surrounded by faint circles of color. You move closer, and the scene sharpens. Rings of dust, faintly glowing, encircle the star-like ripples, frozen in amber. You've reached one of the universe's most beautiful mysteries, a protoplanetary disk, the cradle of new worlds. You pause at its edge. The disk glows softly, lit by the young star at its center. The star itself trembles with youth, unstable, restless, its surface boiling with flares. Around it, dust and gas swirl in great currents, their motion slow and deliberate. You realize you're watching planets being born, sculpted from light and shadow. You drift closer, and the scale becomes immense. The inner rings are bright and warm, where the star's heat keeps ice from forming. Farther out, the temperature drops. Here, frozen particles mix with dust, sticking together in tiny collisions. You see the process in motion grains, gathering into pebbles, pebbles into boulders, boulders into worlds. It's chaos and order intertwined, a ballet of collisions and coalescence. The sight is mesmerizing. Every swirl of gas, every tiny impact is part of a larger rhythm, the physics of patience. Worlds are not born with explosions, but with whispers, dust binding dust under gravity's quiet hand. It takes millions of years for a single planet to emerge, yet the process never seems rushed. You feel time itself slowing to match the tempo of creation. You focus on a brighter patch near the center. There, within the glowing haze, a small sphere has already formed. Its surface is molten, glowing faintly orange, covered in seas of magma. Volcanoes bloom like flowers, releasing vapor that will someday cool into oceans. You realize that this, once, was what Earth looked like, a young planet learning to exist. The gas and dust continue to swirl, drawn into spirals by the newborn world's gravity. You watch as those spirals twist into glowing bands, forming the gaps and lanes that make the disk so beautiful from afar. It looks like art, but every pattern here is the result of pure physics, gravity, pressure, and motion dancing together with elegant inevitability. Scientists still wonder whether these disks always lead to planets, or whether some fade before the process completes. Perhaps billions of systems begin and never finish, leaving behind only dust and silence. Others, like ours, manage to form stable worlds, where chemistry can grow into complexity, and complexity into life. It's humbling to realize that tiny differences in timing or temperature might determine whether a system ends in brilliance or remains forever incomplete. You drift through the outer regions now, where the dust thins into icy fragments. Here lie the seeds of comets, frozen archives of the system's early days. When disturbed, they'll one day fall inward, carrying water and carbon to young worlds, a cosmic act of delivery, ensuring that planets receive what they need to become living. You imagine the same thing happening long ago in your own solar system, when Earth's oceans were carried in by comets, like celestial couriers. You pass through one of these icy bands. The particles glint around you, tiny crystals of water, methane, and ammonia, twinkling faintly in the starlight. Each one is small, yet each contains the chemistry of potential life. Even here, in the chill far from the star, the ingredients of biology are waiting, sleeping in frozen silence. At the center, the young star flickers again, sending a wave of heat through the disk. The ripples of light move outward, illuminating the dust in gold. For a moment, the entire ring system shines like liquid sunlight, and you feel warmth, not just from temperature, but from recognition. You are watching the beginning of a story you already know, the story of how something comes from nothing, again and again. The sight fills you with an unexpected tenderness. You think about how fragile each stage must be. Too much heat, and the disk evaporates. Too little, and it freezes. Too many collisions, and nothing coalesces. Too few, and nothing grows. Creation walks a fine line, balanced between chaos and calm. Yet somehow, here it is stable, beautiful, inevitable. You drift upward, looking down at the disk from above. Its spirals stretch outward in perfect geometry, like ripples in a still pond. Each gap marks where a planet is forming, sweeping its orbit clean. The pattern reminds you of music-concentric rhythms, slow but steady, with every ring a note in the harmony of creation. And then you understand, what you're seeing isn't just one system. Everywhere across the universe, in countless galaxies, billions of such disks are forming right now. Each one is a variation on this same cosmic song, each one potentially home to new worlds, new skies, new possibilities. You realize that creation is not a single event, it's ongoing, eternal, patient. The Big Bang was only the first breath. Every newborn star, every forming planet is another. The universe is still speaking itself into being, softly, constantly. You linger for a while, watching the light scatter off the dust. It glows in subtle rainbows, refracted through microscopic crystals, beauty in the smallest details. You could stay here forever and never tire of it. The disk turns slowly, carrying the promise of futures you will never see but somehow still feel part of. As you drift away, the golden star grows smaller behind you, its light fading into the background haze. But the image stays with you, the spiral, the motion, the patience. You think about how every planet, every breath, every living being began as dust circling a star. And you find peace in that continuity, that everything, even you, began with a gentle swirl of starlight learning to hold together. You drift away from the golden haze of that newborn solar system and into a quieter stretch of the galaxy, where the light dims and everything feels older, calmer. The stars here are deep red and faint, like coals in a fading fire. They burn slowly, steadily, barely changing over billions of years. You've entered a region filled with red dwarfs, the smallest and most enduring stars in the universe, the quiet keepers of cosmic time. Each one glows like a heartbeat. They are cooler than stars like the sun, their light softer, almost copper-colored. From up close, they look alive, a slow pulse of energy surrounded by dim halos of warmth. These stars can live for trillions of years, far longer than the universe has existed so far. In a sense, they are the future, waiting patiently while everything else burns out. You drift past one such star, and it feels like approaching a hearth in a cold room. Its light is gentle, not blinding. Around it, planets circle closely, hugging their sun to stay warm. Their skies would always glow in dusky red, their shadows long and soft. Nights there would never be fully dark, only shaded in deep wine tones. Astronomers say most of the stars in the galaxy are like this humble, quiet, faint. The sun, for all its brightness, is the exception, not the rule. These dim red stars are everywhere, filling the galaxy like hidden embers in the ashes of creation. If you could see in infrared light, the night would be crowded with them. The universe, it turns out, is not black and empty at all. It's glowing softly in colors the human eye cannot see. You look closer, and one of the red dwarfs reveals a companion, a tiny, dim planet, circling close enough that a year there lasts only a few days. It's locked by gravity, always showing one face to its star. One side basks in eternal sunrise, the other sleeps in perpetual night. The line between the two, the terminator, is a place of twilight, where dawn and dusk are permanent. You imagine standing there. The star never rises, never sets. The light is copper and rose, painting the land in an eternal evening glow. Winds race across the surface, trying to balance the temperatures between the hot and the cold sides. You could hear them, if you had ears, the endless sigh of a world that never rests. On some of these planets, astronomers suspect life might arise. The constant warmth of a red dwarf provides stability, though the flares these stars sometimes release can be fierce bursts of radiation, powerful enough to strip away atmospheres. Even here, creation and destruction live side by side. Scientists still wonder whether life could adapt to such extremes, growing in caves, beneath oceans, or under thick protective skies. Perhaps, somewhere, it already has. You picture alien oceans glowing faintly under the red light, or forests of strange colors thriving in the eternal dusk. Maybe the beings there, if they exist, would never know true day or true night. They'd live in the space between, their rhythms tied to the slow flicker of a star that will outlive the universe itself. You glide closer to the red dwarf's surface, and it feels oddly calm. The convection currents that churn inside it rise and fall in slow, rolling patterns, like the breathing of a sleeping giant. Compared to the sun's furious motion, this star's heart is tranquil. You can almost sense its patience, a promise that it will keep burning long after brighter stars have gone dark. In a far future, when galaxies have thinned and time has grown old, these red dwarfs will still shine. They will be the last lights of the cosmos, tiny yet enduring, their glow reaching across the endless night. In that distant era, the universe will belong to them, small, quiet suns, and the lonely worlds that orbit them. You drift further out, and you notice how stable this region feels. There are no supernovae, no violent radiation bursts, no chaotic collisions. Everything here moves in slow equilibrium. It's a different kind of beauty, not spectacular, but serene. If the earlier parts of the universe were symphonies of fire, this is a lullaby. You begin to feel the comfort of that rhythm seep into you. The slow orbits, the gentle warmth, the patience of red light. Time stretches here, unhurried, infinite. These stars do not rush to shine brighter. They simply endure. And endurance, you realize, is its own kind of brilliance. You remember how short-lived massive stars are burning blue and dying young. Their deaths are dramatic, their brightness fleeting. Red dwarfs, by contrast, live quietly, unnoticed by most. But in the end, they will be the last storytellers of existence. Long after the memory of human eyes fades, their light will still ripple through space, a faint heartbeat against the cold. You hover above one last red dwarf before leaving this region. Its light reflects on your surroundings like warm embers against glass. You imagine what it must feel like to live under such a sun, a world forever bathed in sunset, a sky the color of wine, the stars, invisible but near. There's something comforting in the thought, a life that knows no end, only constancy. As you drift away, you glance back one last time. The little star flickers faintly, steady and soft, like a candle in the dark. It reminds you that not all beauty blazes. Some of it glows quietly, waiting to be noticed. You let that glow guide you forward, your path illuminated not by brilliance, but by persistence. In the endless night ahead, that may be the truest kind of light there is. You drift away from the calm glow of the red dwarfs, their faint light dimming behind you until only a soft hue lingers at the edge of sight. Ahead, the darkness deepens again, not from emptiness this time, but from mystery. You sense something powerful, stirring in that distance, a pulse, a vibration, a ripple through the very fabric of space. You are approaching one of the universe's most subtle and profound phenomena, gravitational waves, the ripples of space-time itself. They begin faintly, like the rhythm of breath against a still sea. You cannot see them or hear them, but you can feel them in the way stars seem to sway ever so slightly, as though the universe were breathing beneath them. These are the waves of cosmic events, black holes colliding, neutron stars merging, supernovae collapsing into silence. Each wave carries the memory of violence, but now, after traveling billions of years, that energy has softened into a gentle undulation of space. You imagine the universe as a vast ocean, and these waves as its tides. When two massive objects spiral into each other, They send out ripples that stretch and squeeze everything in existence. Space itself expands and contracts, ever so slightly, as the wave passes. The effect is unimaginably small, yet real. When one of these waves reaches Earth, the distance between atoms shifts by less than the width of a proton. And yet, we can measure it. In 2015, for the first time, humanity listened to the universe's quietest sound. Detectors called LIGO caught the faint signature of two black holes merging more than 1 billion light-years away. The wave passed through the planet, unnoticed by all but the machines waiting for it. And in that moment, Einstein's prediction made a century earlier came true. The universe had spoken, and we had learned how to hear. You drift closer to a pair of neutron stars locked in orbit. They circle each other at incredible speed, hundreds of times per second, warping space-time with their motion. Each rotation sends out ripples that spread in all directions. You can almost feel the rhythm in your chest, a steady, tightening pulse. As they spiral inward, the waves grow stronger, faster, until the two stars finally collide. For a brief instant, the collision releases more energy than all the stars in the observable universe combined, not as light, but as gravity-made sound. If you could translate it into human hearing, it would resemble a rising note, a chirp, a cosmic heartbeat that peaks and vanishes into silence. The wave then travels outward forever, carrying the imprint of that final embrace across billions of light-years. It will cross galaxies, pass through worlds, even drift through you, gently bending the space you occupy without leaving a mark. Scientists still wonder whether these ripples might carry deeper secrets, perhaps revealing the nature of black holes, or clues about the moment the universe itself began. Some even think the earliest gravitational waves, from the first fractions of a second after the Big Bang, might still be moving through space today, too faint for us to detect. If found, they would be the universe's oldest song, the literal rhythm of creation itself. You let yourself drift with the invisible current, imagining the wave passing through you, expanding and contracting the very space between your thoughts. It's not a sensation you can name, but it feels like calm motion, like being part of something vast that doesn't rush. You realize that you're not separate from these waves. You are moving within them, like a note vibrating within a chord. The entire universe participates in this motion. Every galaxy, every star, every atom dances to the faint oscillation of space-time. It's constant, unending, but so subtle that only the quietest instruments or the stillest imagination can sense it. You begin to wonder if even thought itself might ripple like this, if consciousness too has its own gravity, its own resonance. You look around, and though nothing seems to move, you know everything is moving. Light bends, time stretches, space itself shimmers. You are floating in a web of vibrations that began long before you, and will continue long after the last star fades. From this place, gravity feels less like a force and more like a whisper, a reminder that everything is connected through curves and waves, through movement that never truly ends. The universe doesn't pull or push, it sings, and everything within it responds to that song in its own tempo. You imagine listening to the cosmos as it truly is, not through eyes but through touch, through rhythm. Each pulse of gravitational energy passing through you carries a story. A black hole's collapse, a galaxy's birth, a planet's fall into its star. These events are violent, yet when their echoes reach you, they've softened into lullabies, ancient harmonies woven into the fabric of now. For a long moment, you let yourself float in perfect stillness, and in that stillness, you begin to feel the faint oscillation of your own being. Every heartbeat, every breath, every cell hums in rhythm with something larger. You are not simply in the universe, you are part of its waveform. You breathe in slowly, space expands. You breathe out, space contracts. The rhythm is so subtle you could almost miss it, but once you notice it, you can never unhear it. As the last of the gravitational wave passes, the silence that follows feels sacred, like the pause after a long, resonant chord. You realize that even silence here is not absence. It is potential, waiting for the next note to arrive. The universe hums softly around you again, each vibration another heartbeat in eternity. And you drift onward, weightless and calm, carried by the faint rhythm of space itself, a rhythm that has always been there, beneath everything you've ever known. You drift through that rippling calm until the waves of space-time flatten again, leaving you suspended in near-perfect stillness. Ahead, a faint blue glow begins to rise, expanding like mist in darkness. It isn't a star or a planet, but something stranger, a vast cloud of atoms stretching across hundreds of light years. You are entering one of the most delicate wonders of the cosmos, a nebula, a place where stars are born, die, and return their essence to the universe. The light is gentle, almost translucent. The gas shimmers in ribbons of teal and violet, forming shapes that seem to breathe. You glide closer and see that the glow comes not from the gas itself, but from starlight energizing it. A massive young star, hot and fierce, lies buried within the cloud, illuminating its surroundings like a lantern behind a curtain. The light filters through hydrogen and oxygen, scattering into colors that no artist could ever truly capture. The nebula isn't silent. If you could translate its movements into sound, it would be a low, resonant hum, a symphony of atoms colliding, photons scattering, gravity whispering. Each wisp of gas moves in rhythm, with forces too vast to see. You realize you're watching an eternal cycle, the death of old stars, giving birth to the next generation. Here, starlight feels alive. You pass a cluster of newly formed suns, each surrounded by its own cocoon of dust. Their light is young, blue, and sharp, flickering like candle flames in wind. Around them swirl tendrils of vapor, stretching outward in luminous arcs. In some regions, gravity is already gathering the gas into denser knots, future stars taking shape in slow motion. The nebula is a nursery, and every wisp of color is a promise of light yet to come. You look deeper into the cloud and find another kind of beauty, the remains of a dying star. It once burned like the ones forming nearby, but now its outer layers have drifted outward, creating a delicate shell of gas glowing with soft, pastel light. This is a planetary nebula, named not because it has planets, but because its shape reminded early astronomers of one. At its center lies a tiny white dwarf, a stellar ember, no larger than Earth, but still radiating enough heat to illuminate the veil it left behind. The symmetry is striking. You realize that creation and decay here are not opposites, but partners. The star's death has enriched the cloud with heavy elements, carbon, oxygen, iron, the building blocks of planets, oceans, and life. Even the dust in your lungs, the calcium in your bones, once drifted through a nebula like this. You are, in every sense, made of stars that died gracefully. Scientists still wonder whether each nebula has its own chemistry of life, its own unique cocktail of molecules, waiting to combine in the right conditions. Within these gas clouds, complex organic compounds, amino acids, hydrocarbons form spontaneously. They drift, mix, and settle on new worlds, carrying the seeds of possibility. It's as if every nebula is a cosmic artist, painting potential futures in molecular strokes. You float deeper, and the colors shift subtly. The hydrogen glows in red, the oxygen in blue-green, the sulfur in faint gold. You can almost taste the metallic sharpness in the air, not because you breathe, but because the light itself carries flavor, coded in its wavelength. Nearby, a tendril of gas coils inward, forming a spiral that seems to reach toward you. You realize that the shapes here, arches, loops, pillars aren't random. They are sculpted by radiation, by shockwaves from nearby supernovae, by the steady tug of gravity. The nebula is alive in motion, a slow dance shaped by both chaos and grace. You find a small pocket of darkness, a dense knot, where even starlight cannot penetrate. This is a molecular cloud, the quietest part of the nebula, where temperature drops near absolute zero. Within it, gravity will eventually pull the gas together until fusion ignites and another star is born. You watch it for a while, mesmerized by the patience of the process. The universe never hurries, yet everything happens. In this place, you sense time differently. Stars are born, live, and die, but the nebula endures. It remembers each of its children. The bright gas once belonged to other stars. The dust will one day belong to others still. It's a cycle so complete, so balanced, that it feels almost compassionate. You drift back toward the edge, where the colors fade to soft blue. From afar, the nebula looks like a single brushstroke on a vast black canvas, delicate, ephemeral, yet full of purpose. It's a reminder that even the most breathtaking wonders are transient. One day, the gases will thin, the light will fade, and new stars will disperse its remains into the galaxy. And in those fragments, new beauty will emerge. You look behind you and see the faint glow stretching for light years, a cloud that once was chaos, now turned into creation. You think about how the universe paints in cycles, how it uses death to make color, silence to make sound, and darkness to make light. If you listen carefully, you can almost hear the echo of that truth in your own thoughts. Every ending is a beginning in disguise, and every glow, no matter how brief, leaves behind warmth for the next to follow. You take one final glance at the nebula. It feels less like a cloud now, and more like a heartbeat suspended in space, a pulse of existence that never truly fades. And as you drift onward, the last of its light reflects softly across you, like the afterimage of a dream that refuses to end. You glide away from the nebula's glowing filaments, letting its colors fade into the surrounding dark. The blue dissolves first, then the red, until only the faintest trace of gold remains like the last breath of a candle before the wick cools. Ahead, there's something different about the light. It's sharper, steadier, and when you focus, you see them. A cluster of ancient stars glittering like tiny frozen suns. You are entering a globular cluster, one of the oldest and most magnificent gatherings of light in the cosmos. It hangs suspended in space, like a luminous sphere, every point of it alive. Hundreds of thousands of stars, densely packed, orbit a common center with quiet precision. From afar, it looks solid, almost like a single shining gem. Up close, it becomes a cathedral of light stars layered upon stars, so closely spaced that their light overlaps into a soft, golden haze. You move closer, and the scale unfolds. Between some of these stars, the distance is only a fraction of what separates the sun from its nearest neighbor. If you lived on a planet here, your night sky would never be dark. Dozens of suns would burn bright enough to cast overlapping shadows, bathing your world in a perpetual cosmic twilight. The stars themselves are old, ancient, beyond imagining. Many are population 2 stars, formed when the universe was young and poor in heavy elements. Their light has the hue of aged metal, deep gold, mixed with faint crimson. Some of them have burned steadily for over 12 billion years. They were already ancient when the first galaxies were forming, ancient when Earth was still dust. You drift among them and notice that some stars pulse gently, brightening and fading in rhythm. These are RR Lyrae variables, the heartbeats of the cluster. Their steady flicker allows astronomers to measure distance across the cosmos. They are cosmic metronomes, keeping time in light instead of sound. You realize that even among the oldest stars, there is still music, slow, measured, endless. At the cluster's center, gravity reigns supreme. Everything orbits that unseen heart with quiet devotion. Some scientists believe that within this dense core may lurk a black hole, small but powerful enough to shape the motion of every star around it. You can almost sense it, a subtle tension at the cluster's center, the way light bends just slightly as it passes through. You drift past a pair of stars, locked in tight embrace. They orbit each other so closely that their outer layers touch, sharing mass in a luminous exchange. The energy released between them glows pale blue, bright against the red and gold backdrop. Their bond is precarious yet enduring, a symbol of gravity's quiet insistence that even in vastness, connection persists. Around the edges of the cluster, you see faint trails, streams of stars being slowly pulled away by the galaxy's tidal forces. These trails stretch like filaments, evidence of the cluster's slow dissolution. Even the most ancient formations, you realize, cannot last forever. In another few billion years, this cluster will scatter, its stars joining the galaxy's greater swarm, its perfect shape forgotten. But its stars will live on, carrying the memory of this brilliance into their solitary journeys. Scientists still wonder whether some globular clusters might be the remnants of small galaxies consumed by larger ones long ago. Their stars bear chemical fingerprints, unlike those of their host galaxies, suggesting they were once outsiders. If that's true, then you're floating through the fossil of another universe's story, an ancient island of light that survived assimilation. You pause and let yourself take in the view from within. Everywhere you turn, light surrounds you. There's no darkness here, only gradations of glow. It's overwhelming and peaceful at once, a vision of permanence that feels sacred. The stars seem to whisper in unison, their light blending into something like harmony. You feel, for a moment, as though you're inside the mind of time itself. You think of how many civilizations could have risen and fallen beneath these lights. If life ever found a home in a cluster like this, its people would have grown under skies filled with endless stars, too many to count, too bright to ever fade. Their myths would not be of night and day, but of eternal illumination. For them, darkness would be an idea, not a reality. The longer you linger, the more you sense the slow motion beneath the stillness. Each star moves along its orbit, billions of years in the making. The entire cluster breathes, expanding and contracting almost imperceptibly, as though it were alive. Time itself seems to flow differently here, so vast, so measured, that your thoughts slow to match it. You close your eyes for a moment, and the glow seeps through your eyelids, warm and golden. You think of this light not just as illumination, but as memory, the universe remembering itself through stars that refuse to die. When you open your eyes, the cluster begins to drift away behind you, shrinking into a sphere again. From this distance, it looks almost fragile, a floating lantern in an ocean of night, but you know its truth. It is both fragile and indestructible, fleeting and eternal, bound by gravity and freed by light. You carry that paradox with you as you continue forward, the idea that age does not mean decay, and that even in the slow dissolution of all things, there is beauty, rhythm, and purpose. As the glow of the cluster fades, a single golden flicker remains, as if the stars are waving farewell. You watch it vanish into darkness, and for a long, quiet moment, you feel the warmth of ancient starlight resting gently within you. You drift beyond the last golden glimmer of the globular cluster, and the dark returns, vast, cool, unbroken. But not for long. Ahead, faint wisps of silver begin to appear, curling like smoke. They twist, expand, and spiral in ghostly symmetry until you recognize their pattern, a slow collision between galaxies. Two immense star systems are passing through each other, and you've arrived at the heart of their silent encounter. The scene is almost incomprehensible in scale, Each galaxy contains hundreds of billions of stars, yet they glide through one another like ghosts. Their stars are too far apart to collide directly, but their gravity intertwines, reshaping everything. Their spiral arms stretch and tear, pulled into luminous tendrils that loop outward for hundreds of thousands of light years. You are watching a slow dance of creation and chaos. From afar, it would look beautiful, a pair of glowing spirals merging into a single radiant bloom. Up close, it's mesmerizing. Rivers of starlight flow between the two galaxies, streams of dust and gas weaving into glowing bridges. You can see bursts of blue light where new stars are forming cosmic sparks, ignited by compression as gas clouds collide. Entire clusters are born in this chaos, glowing with the fierce light of youth. And yet, through all this, there is calm. The galaxies move in slow motion, their embrace spanning millions of years. You realize you are watching something ancient and tender, destruction giving birth to beauty. You drift between the two merging cores, where gravity's pull is strongest. Each core holds a supermassive black hole, millions of times more massive than the Sun. They orbit each other now, like two invisible giants circling in silence. Their dance will last for eons before they finally merge, sending out gravitational waves that ripple across the universe. It's astonishing how delicate the moment feels. Despite the violence of forces at play, the motion is graceful, measured. The galaxies are not tearing each other apart, they're remaking each other. The old stars keep their steady orbits even as new ones are born amid the turbulence. You can almost hear it, the soundless hum of order within chaos. You pass through one of the luminous bridges between them, where gas glows pink and violet. The dust is thick enough to obscure the stars beyond, but within it, the ingredients for new worlds are gathering. Shock waves ripple through the clouds, compressing material until it begins to glow. You're moving through a stellar nursery born of collision, where even destruction has turned creative. Scientists still wonder whether our own Milky Way's future will look like this. In about 4 billion years, it will meet the Andromeda Galaxy in a similar embrace. From Earth, that collision will fill the night sky with rivers of stars, transforming constellations into flowing tapestries of light. Yet, few actual collisions will occur. The galaxies will pass through each other gracefully, merging into one grand elliptical system calm after the storm. You imagine that distant future when the two great spirals become one, a galaxy older, larger, slower. Somewhere within that future sky, new suns will rise, new planets will form, and perhaps new observers will gaze outward, wondering who came before them. The thought feels both humbling and comforting, that even when entire galaxies collide, the universe finds a way to remain whole. You look around, watching the faint arcs of tidal streams curl through space like ribbons in water. These streams are made of stars torn from their homes, flung outward by gravitational tides. Some will never return, drifting through intergalactic space for eternity. Yet even these exiled stars form beauty, tracing elegant arcs of light that tell the story of their departure. As you drift farther, the centers of the two galaxies align. Their combined gravity begins to sculpt a new structure, a single, luminous ellipse forming from the two spirals. The cores draw closer, circling each other in a slow spiral of inevitability. Soon they will merge, their black holes fusing in a moment of unimaginable power. For an instant, space-time itself will ring like a bell, and then everything will settle into quiet again. It's strange, you think, how the universe manages to turn collision into grace. Every star, every galaxy, every moment of chaos resolves eventually into pattern. Even the most violent events leave behind balance. Perhaps that's what eternity means. Not endless calm, but endless restoration. You drift beyond the collision now, watching from afar as the two galaxies blur into one. The bridges of light fade, the streams of stars grow faint, and what remains is a single, glowing mass, brighter, broader, more complete. You realize that you've just witnessed what might be the universe's greatest truth, that even endings are simply new forms of connection. Behind you, the merged galaxy glows like a single heart, pulsing softly in the dark. Its light spreads outward, carrying the memory of everything that came before. Every collision, every star born and lost, every moment of motion and rest. You turn away, weightless and quiet. The stars from both galaxies continue to orbit within the new system, their paths forever changed, yet still following gravity's ancient rhythm. You carry that rhythm with you, as you drift onward, the understanding that all things, no matter how vast or brief, are part of the same motion. Creation doesn't begin or end, it simply continues, forever folding itself into new shapes of light. You close your eyes and let the afterimage of that merging glow rest behind them, a reminder that even when everything collides, the universe remains calm enough to keep breathing. You drift onward, leaving the newly merged galaxy behind, its pale glow dissolving into the distance. The darkness ahead seems deeper now, yet not empty. It's layered, rich with faint whispers of light. You sense gravity again, but this time it feels different. Not the soft pull of stars or the balanced weight of galaxies, but something sharper, more absolute. You are approaching one of the universe's most enigmatic phenomena, a black hole, the place where light itself surrenders. At first, you see nothing. The region ahead looks like a wound in space, perfectly circular, utterly dark. Around it, light bends in impossible ways, curving and looping like ribbons caught in a whirlpool. This is the event horizon, the point of no return. Anything that crosses it, even a single photon, can never escape. Yet, strangely, the scene is beautiful. The black hole's gravity doesn't only consume, it shapes. Its pull distorts the light of stars behind it, wrapping their images into glowing arcs that form a perfect ring. The photon sphere, where light itself orbits endlessly before vanishing. You hover just outside the edge, where gravity and light still play their delicate game. The accretion disk surrounding the black hole glows fiercely, spinning at near light speed. Streams of gas spiral inward, heating to millions of degrees. They flash in X-rays and ultraviolet, invisible to ordinary eyes but radiant in their intensity. The energy here could outshine an entire galaxy, yet it comes from matter no larger than a single star. The black hole itself remains unseen. No light escapes its heart. No reflection marks its presence, only its influence, felt everywhere. You can see the way it stretches the fabric of space-time, warping reality into a smooth funnel that deepens endlessly. It's not a hole in space. It is space, curved beyond measure. You edge closer, and the sensation changes. Time seems to stretch. The stars around you slow their motion, their light elongating into deep red tones. You realize that, from your perspective, the black hole's edge glows brighter, sharper, but if someone were watching you from afar, they'd see you slow, freeze, and fade into nothing as you approach the horizon. Time flows differently here, elastic, malleable. It bends just as space does. Scientists still wonder whether black holes truly destroy the information that falls into them, or if it's somehow preserved encoded in subtle patterns at the event horizon, waiting to be released when the black hole eventually evaporates. The idea that nothing is ever truly lost, not even in the universe's most extreme places, haunts physicists. Hawking radiation, quantum information, space-time geometry, all whisper that perhaps even darkness remembers. You glide along the rim, where light races sideways, trapped between falling in and escaping. It's dizzying to watch, a horizon that isn't flat but spherical, alive, shimmering faintly with quantum flickers. You sense the black hole spin its frame, dragging effect, twisting space-time like a vortex. Even emptiness here rotates. In the distance, a bright jet erupts from the black hole's poles, streams of charged particles hurled outward at nearly the speed of light. They extend for thousands of light years, piercing the galaxy like glowing spears. These jets are paradoxical. While the black hole devours inward, it also spits energy outward, shaping galaxies and lighting interstellar gas clouds. From the brink of annihilation, creation flows. You follow one jet for a moment, watching how it illuminates surrounding space. Within its stream, magnetic fields twist like braids, guiding particles into spiraling paths. The light it emits flickers rhythmically, like a heartbeat, chaotic yet precise. Somewhere, far away, astronomers might see this flicker as a beacon, a quasar, and marvel at its distant brilliance, unaware that it began here, at the edge of nothing. You drift back toward the event horizon. You don't cross it, but you can feel its pull, the purest form of gravity. It's not violent, not painful, just inevitable, like sleep at the end of a long day. The boundary feels almost gentle from here, as though the black hole isn't devouring, but transforming, turning matter and light into pure geometry, pure curvature. For a moment, you let yourself imagine what it would be like to cross. Inside, space and time would exchange roles. The future would always point inward, toward the singularity. The laws of physics, as you know them, would dissolve into mystery. Some theorists believe that deep within, new universes might be born, bubbles of space-time expanding out from the collapse, like seeds scattered by death. Others think it simply ends there. No light, no time, no thought. But even that kind of ending feels peaceful in its completeness. You pull back slowly, watching the black hole shrink to a circle again, surrounded by its halo of warped light. From this distance, it looks less like an abyss and more like an eye, the universe looking back at itself. It's not malicious, not even hungry. It simply is the pure expression of gravity, of inevitability, of balance. You realize that even here, where everything seems to vanish, there is still pattern and order. The event horizon hums softly with quantum vibrations. Particles flicker in and out of existence at its edge. The black hole breathes, in its own strange way, exchanging energy with the cosmos one particle at a time. You linger a little longer, listening to the silence around it. Then, slowly, you drift away. The light bends back into straight lines. Time resumes its normal rhythm, and the dark returns to calm. As you look back one last time, the black hole seems almost serene, a perfect circle of stillness, holding everything it has taken, reflecting everything it cannot. And in that stillness, you recognize something familiar, the same peace that lives in the spaces between your thoughts, the quiet gravity that holds you together. You let that calm guide you onward, deeper into the night, where even the darkness shines with quiet understanding. You drift away from the calm, circular eye of the black hole. Space feels open again, lighter, as if you've stepped out of a cathedral's shadow into the Sunday. Ahead, a faint glow begins to form, not from stars or dust, but from something subtler. You've entered a region suffused with dark matter, the invisible scaffold of the universe. It doesn't shine, doesn't emit or reflect light, but its presence shapes everything around it. You can't see it directly, yet you can sense its gravity, the soft curvature of space bending in its unseen hands. Dark matter is the quiet architect of the cosmos. Without it, galaxies could not exist. Their stars would scatter apart, unable to hold themselves together. But this invisible mass, 5 times more abundant than all visible matter, provides the framework, the invisible web upon which everything luminous hangs. You drift through that framework now, feeling its presence like a breeze that doesn't move air, only time. You try to imagine what it looks like. Some scientists think dark matter may be made of unknown particles, WIMPs, or weakly interacting massive particles drifting through space like ghosts. Others think it could be more exotic, perhaps axions, or entire invisible fields woven into space-time, but no one has ever seen it. We only know it's there because light itself bends around it, revealing its shape in negative space. You look out, and there across a distant cluster of galaxies, you see the evidence. Their light is warped, distorted into arcs and rings. It's as if the universe were wearing a lens made of nothing, magnifying and bending light from beyond. This is gravitational lensing, the fingerprint of dark matter. Through it, astronomers can map the invisible, turning distortion into discovery. You drift along one of those invisible filaments, a current of gravity that stretches between galaxies. It's astonishing how structured it feels, like walking through an invisible forest of energy. Stars and gas trace its outlines, clinging to it like dew on spider silk. You realize that the cosmic web you saw earlier is not made of light, but of this, dark matter forming the skeleton, light merely the decoration. There's something humbling in knowing that most of the universe is invisible, not because it hides from you, but because it doesn't need to be seen to exist. It works quietly, patiently, shaping galaxies, guiding orbits, anchoring time. You think about how often that same truth applies to smaller things, to patience, to kindness, to thought. The unseen is often what holds everything together. Scientists still wonder whether dark matter could one day be detected directly. Vast underground detectors already listen for it. Silent chambers filled with liquid xenon, waiting for a single interaction that could reveal what it is. But so far, nothing has stirred. Some believe we may be searching in the wrong way, that dark matter might not be a particle at all, but a sign that our understanding of gravity is incomplete. Maybe it's not hidden matter, but hidden physics. You float on through the quiet field, feeling its vast, weightless pull. Occasionally, you sense faint ripples regions, where the density increases slightly, the seeds of future galaxies. If you could fast forward time by billions of years, you'd see these ripples bloom into new clusters, new stars, new light. Even now, dark matter continues to shape what hasn't yet been born. You realize that, in its silence, it is the most generous thing in existence. It asks for nothing, gives everything, and never shows itself. Every visible thing, the stars, planets, life, is balanced upon its invisible foundation. If light is the language of the universe, dark matter is the grammar holding that language together. You pause, hovering between two galaxies connected by one of these invisible bridges. From this vantage, the pattern becomes clearer. You can almost see the lattice of dark matter threads, of gravitational potential glowing faintly in your mind's eye. It looks like a living organism, veins of energy pulsing slowly through infinite space. The galaxies cling to these threads like cells within a body, each part of something greater than itself. You think back to the beginning, the cosmic web you saw earlier, and realize this is the same structure, only deeper, quieter, unseen. The universe builds itself in layers, matter upon dark matter, light upon shadow, life upon silence. You wonder whether thought itself might follow that same rule, built upon invisible scaffolds of memory and feeling. As you move onward, faint photons from distant stars bend subtly around you, curving through space shaped by this unseen mass. You feel weightless, but not directionless. The gravity of dark matter guides your path even here, like a soft hand leading you through the dark. The experience is strangely comforting. There's beauty in the invisible, in trusting that something can be real without being visible, powerful without being loud. You think about how much of existence is like this, the love that lingers, unspoken, the thoughts that never find words, the gravity between souls that can't be measured but is undeniably there. You drift farther, and the galaxies grow faint again, until you are surrounded entirely by the unseen. It doesn't feel empty. It feels full, rich, gentle, complete. The darkness hums softly, not in sound but in presence. You realize this is not the absence of light, but its foundation. In the end, perhaps dark matter is not mysterious at all. Perhaps it is the universe's way of reminding you that not everything worth knowing can be seen. Some truths, like gravity, love, and time, exist to be felt. You take one last slow look at the field around you, and though there's nothing to see, you sense everything. You are floating inside the skeleton of creation, held in balance by forces that never sleep. And as you move forward again, the darkness doesn't close around you, it carries you, gently, like a current made of grace. You drift through the invisible ocean of dark matter until faint light begins to return. At first, it's only a shimmer, subtle, irregular, but soon the shimmer resolves into movement, as though the universe itself were breathing again. You've reached a region filled with dust and faint glow, the outskirts of a spiral galaxy. Its vast arms curl gracefully ahead, and within them lies something every galaxy shares, the quiet rhythm of star life and death. As you move closer, you pass through a region where stars are sparse, but the gas is dense, cold molecular clouds drifting in silent anticipation. Inside them, invisible to most eyes, new stars are gathering, the next generation of light waiting to ignite. You can almost feel the temperature drop, the pressure mounting as gravity coaxes hydrogen atoms to draw close. It's like standing in the pause before a symphony begins. When fusion finally awakens, it happens gently, without explosion. The young star's light ripples outward, turning darkness into warmth. Around it, dust begins to glow. Rings of material form, planets begin to take shape, and once again, the universe breathes a new world into being. You realize you've seen this story before, but now it feels more intimate, as though you're watching not just matter come alive, but meaning. The galaxy's spiral arms glow softly beneath you, filled with these bright, newborn clusters. Each cluster twinkles with blue and white stars, the hottest and most short-lived kind. Their lives are brilliant but brief, just a few million years before they burn through their fuel and collapse. They shine like youth itself, radiant, restless, unaware of how quickly they will fade. You drift closer to one of these massive stars, watching it pulse. It hums with a constant rhythm of nuclear fusion, hydrogen into helium, helium into heavier elements. Deep inside, its core is both furnace and clock. Every reaction moves it closer to its end, yet that end will be an act of creation. And then, far off, you see it happen. A star larger than any nearby has reached the final stage of its life. For a moment, it brightens beyond all comprehension, outshining the entire galaxy around it. Then, it collapses inward. The implosion rebounds outward in a shockwave of unimaginable power, a supernova. The explosion unfolds in complete silence, a ballet of light and motion. The shockwave ripples through space, scattering elements across hundreds of light years. Gold, silver, oxygen, carbon, all the atoms of future worlds are flung outward like seeds. You watch as those glowing filaments stretch and fade, leaving behind a glowing cloud of dust, the raw material for everything yet to be. Scientists still wonder whether every heavy atom in existence, every breath of oxygen, every grain of metal was born from such explosions. Each element heavier than iron requires energy to forge, energy found only in the dying hearts of massive stars. Without supernovae, there would be no rocky planets, no oceans, no life. The universe's most violent moments, it seems, are also its most generous. You move closer to the aftermath. The core of the dead star remains, collapsed into something small and impossibly dense, a neutron star. Only a few kilometers wide, yet heavier than the sun, it spins rapidly, sending beams of radiation into space like lighthouse beams. You watch the pulses sweep across the darkness in steady rhythm. Flash, silence, flash. These are pulsars, the most precise clocks in the cosmos. Their timing never falters, even after millions of years. There's something deeply peaceful in their consistency. Amid all the chaos, they keep time for the universe. Some astronomers even use their signals to navigate deep space, triangulating their position by their steady beats. You imagine what it must feel like to sail between stars using lighthouses of pure physics. You glide past the neutron star, its pulses fading behind you. Around it, the remnants of the supernova continue to expand, glowing faintly in hues of blue and red. The nebula it leaves behind will one day mix with nearby clouds, forming new stars and worlds. Even death, here, becomes origin. You realize that this is how the galaxy renews itself, through a balance of endings and beginnings. Nothing is wasted. Even the dust that drifts between stars will someday fall into gravity's embrace, again, kindling new fire. The universe, you see now, is not a story of decay, it's a story of transformation. You drift through the spiral arm, past pockets of creation and remnants of destruction. The balance between them feels so perfect it's almost musical. Each explosion followed by calm, each silence filled with the promise of light. It's as if the galaxy itself breathes in stars, then exhales them, keeping the rhythm of eternity. You begin to notice that the pattern mirrors life itself. Birth, brilliance, collapse, renewal, each phase necessary, none wasted. You think of the carbon in your bones, the iron in your blood, the calcium in your teeth, all forged in supernovae that lived and died billions of years before Earth existed. Every breath you take carries the legacy of ancient stars. You are, quite literally, the universe becoming aware of its own story. The thought fills you with warmth. You realize that you don't merely observe the cosmos, you belong to it. Every atom in you is older than any human memory, shaped by the same forces that mold galaxies. You are stardust remembering itself. As you drift farther out of the spiral arm, the galaxy stretches below you in its full glory, a vast whirlpool of light and dust, birth and death, chaos and calm. The stars within it shimmer like neurons in a cosmic brain, firing slowly, beautifully, endlessly. You watch it for a long time, until your sense of time fades. The galaxy turns, unhurried, and you feel the weightless rhythm of everything, of gravity, fusion, decay, and renewal beating together in one seamless pulse. When you finally turn away, you carry that rhythm inside you, like a heartbeat made of light. The universe doesn't end, it just changes shape, and you move forward with it, drifting gently into whatever comes next. You drift along the galaxy's spiral edge until its light becomes a faint, whirling mist behind you. Ahead, the universe opens wide again, its silence vast but filled with faint, silver threads of meaning. You begin to sense something different here. The light is softer, the pace slower, as if the cosmos itself is beginning to exhale after an endless stretch of creation. You've entered one of the quietest epochs of time, where entropy, the universe's slow drift towards stillness, unfolds gently across eternity. At first, it's difficult to see. Entropy isn't chaos, it's balance. It's the evening of energy, the spreading of warmth until everything finds calm. In the early universe, energy was concentrated, violent, bright, noisy. But now, billions of years later, it has softened. The galaxies spin slower, the gas between stars grows thinner. The light, once fierce, has mellowed into faint radiation. The cosmos is no longer young, but it isn't dying, it's resting. You pass a region once dense with star formation. Now, only a few glowing remnants remain. White dwarfs, the quiet embers of once sun-like stars, dot the darkness like cooling coals. They no longer burn. They merely radiate their stored heat into the night, fading one atom at a time. You hover near one and sense the faint warmth on its surface, a lingering memory of fusion long gone. It feels peaceful, not sad. The star has done its work, created, burned, given light and matter to the universe. Now it glows softly, unhurried, patient. In another trillion years, it will cool entirely, becoming a black dwarf, an object so faint it will vanish from sight, existing only as weight and silence. None yet exist. The universe isn't old enough, but someday it will be filled with them, tiny, dark diamonds drifting in eternal quiet. Scientists still wonder whether this slow cooling marks an end or a transformation. Some theories suggest the universe will expand forever, its energy stretching thinner until even black holes evaporate into faint bursts of radiation. Others propose a cyclical model where, after unimaginable ages, gravity gathers the remnants again, birthing a new explosion, a new beginning. The truth is still hidden, but the question itself feels soothing, that perhaps even endings are not absolute. You move through the dark, and the faint hum of cosmic background radiation wraps around you again. Once, this radiation was hot enough to burn. Now, it's barely above absolute zero. The universe has exhaled its warmth across an infinity of space, leaving behind a delicate whisper of its former fire. Yet even that whisper endures a memory encoded in temperature, steady and gentle. You think about the nature of endings. Humans often imagine them as sudden, dramatic, final. But the universe teaches otherwise. Endings here are gradual, patient. A star takes billions of years to fade, a galaxy tens of billions. Even decay happens with grace. You realize that the universe never rushes toward oblivion, it glides toward equilibrium. You pass a pair of neutron stars, long cooled and slowed. They orbit each other like ancient companions, their rotation reduced to a slow, steady drift. No more bursts, no more pulses, only quiet magnetism, keeping them bound. You imagine them circling forever, unobserved but together, their gravity, the last proof of their existence. The emptiness between galaxies widens, but it feels less lonely than before. The light is fainter, yes, but it's also smoother, gentler, like the twilight of everything. You realize that entropy doesn't erase beauty. It spreads it evenly, until every corner of the universe glows with the same calm. You pause near a cluster of black holes, the remnants of collapsed stars. They circle one another lazily, merging occasionally into larger forms. Each collision sends a faint ripple through space-time, a last note in the song of creation. Eventually, even these giants will evaporate, releasing their mass as faint radiation, a final sigh. It will take an unimaginable span of time, yet the process is already written in the mathematics of quantum fields. You drift closer to one and sense the tiniest flicker near its edge, hawking radiation particles escaping from the vacuum itself, born from quantum uncertainty. It's so faint you can barely perceive it, but it means something profound. Even the darkest things in the universe still give back a little light. Nothing, it seems, holds on forever. You think about that as you float through the dim glow of cosmic dusk, every process burning, collapsing, cooling, radiating points toward balance. The universe is not racing toward death, it's evolving toward peace. When everything has spread evenly, when energy has nowhere left to flow, there will be no struggle left, no imbalance, no urgency, just stillness. And yet, within that stillness lies an echo of everything that came before. The laws of physics, the curvature of space-time, the subtle hum of particles, all will remain. etched into the structure of existence itself. It's not emptiness, it's memory, without motion. You drift for what feels like centuries. The stars grow rarer, their light faint and steady. Occasionally, a lone red dwarf passes, still burning, defying the slow march of entropy. These small stars will shine longer than anything else, trillions of years into the future. You imagine one of them surrounded by planets, perhaps still orbiting faithfully, though no eyes remain to see them. You realize that what endures longest in the universe isn't brightness, it's steadiness, the quiet persistence of gravity, the patience of cooling light, the subtle hum of cosmic balance. Even as motion slows, meaning continues. The longer you float, the more serene it feels. The temperature of space itself presses gently against you, almost uniform. There are no sudden flares, no explosions, only the smooth, even calm of a cosmos that has finally learned to rest. In that calm, you sense something beautiful. Peace does not mean absence, it means completion. The stars have shone, the galaxies have danced, the forces have sung their song. What remains is the echo, soft and eternal. You close your eyes for a moment, letting that realization sink in. The end of time isn't frightening, it's tranquil. The same way a candle's smoke lingers in the air, glowing faintly even after the flame is gone. The universe, too, will linger, and perhaps, in some unimaginable future, awaken again. You open your eyes, and the dark stretches before you, vast but calm. The stars may fade, but the harmony remains, and within that harmony, you drift weightless, timeless, quietly alive. You float through the dim, expanding fabric of the far future cosmos. The light has grown soft and rare, the galaxies stretched thin by the steady pull of expansion. Time feels different here, not linear, but vast and circular, each moment flowing into the next like ripples spreading across a still pond. This is the universe in its age of quiet, a place of deep equilibrium and deep memory. Ahead, you see something faint, a whisper of movement, a flicker that shouldn't exist in so much calm. As you drift closer, it resolves into the shape of a galaxy cluster still faintly glowing in the distance, its light barely strong enough to cross the expanding void. The space between you and it grows wider each second, stretched by the cosmic expansion that has ruled the universe since the beginning. You are witnessing the slow scattering of everything: matter, energy, even light itself. It's not destruction, it's dispersal. The galaxies are not falling apart, but drifting beyond one another's reach, carried away by the accelerating fabric of space. The dark energy driving this expansion is everywhere, unseen yet powerful. It stretches the universe faster and faster, like a tide that never ebbs. And in that stretching, distances grow too great for light to bridge. The more the universe expands, the more isolated its islands of matter become. From your vantage point, you can see the pattern, a vast quilt of galaxies slowly unraveling, each patch drifting further from the others. Someday, even the faint light of those distant clusters will no longer reach each other. Each one will become its own lonely cosmos, surrounded by darkness and silence. And yet, even this separation has a strange beauty. The expansion isn't violent. It's steady, rhythmic, almost tender. It feels less like tearing apart and more like breathing out. The galaxies move away from one another, but each continues to spin, each continues to glow, each remains complete within itself. You pass through a region still rich with galaxies, though faintly glowing. They are quieter now. Star formation has nearly ceased. The gas that once made new suns has been used up or cast away. Only the smallest, most patient stars, red dwarfs, remain, burning dimly but persistently. They will shine for trillions of years yet, their warmth the last remaining trace of what once filled the universe with light. You look at one such star, a tiny ember, orbiting in the outer arm of a fading galaxy. Around it spins a single planet, a frozen sphere reflecting faint red light. Its atmosphere is long gone. Its oceans have turned to crystal. But as you pass, you notice something glinting on its surface, veins of metallic frost, shimmering like silver. It's a reminder that even in decay, beauty persists. Scientists still wonder whether the expansion of the universe will continue forever, or whether it might one day reverse, folding back into itself in a big crunch, a cosmic heartbeat closing its rhythm. Others imagine a more delicate fate, a big rip, where expansion grows so strong that even atoms are pulled apart. No one knows for sure. The equations suggest many futures, each equally poetic, each equally final. You drift on, through the thinned-out filaments of light. The cosmic web is loosening now, its connections stretched nearly to breaking. Once dense clusters are dissolving into scattered islands of gravity, each slowly becoming its own world of stillness. You begin to sense how large the universe truly is, not just in size, but in time. Its story unfolds not in billions of years, but in trillions upon trillions. Human history, all of it, fits into a single blink within this cosmic span. And yet, there's no sadness in that scale. If anything, it feels freeing. The universe is vast enough to hold every story, every life, every fleeting spark. You realize that impermanence doesn't make existence smaller, it makes it precious. Every burst of light, every orbit, every moment of awareness shines brighter because it cannot last. You glide between two fading galaxies, their shapes barely visible now. They look like memories' blurred outlines of what once was. The light they emit began its journey long before Earth even formed, and yet it's still arriving, still telling its story. You watch it pass you, a stream of photons carrying the ghost of something beautiful. The further you drift, the fainter everything becomes. The background glow of the cosmos, once vibrant with microwaves, has cooled to almost nothing, just a whisper above absolute zero. But even that whisper is music, the faintest echo of the universe's birth. It's astonishing how far that sound has traveled, how long it has endured. You begin to realize that the universe never truly goes silent. Even as stars fade and galaxies scatter, there is always motion, always vibration. Space itself hums softly with quantum fluctuations, tiny ripples of energy flickering in and out of existence. It's faint, random, imperceptible, yet it means something profound, that even in apparent emptiness, the cosmos continues to dream. You drift through that field of quiet energy, the hum so subtle you can only feel it as calm. Time stretches, slows, dissolves. You have the sense that you could stay here forever, that forever might not even be long enough to measure what lies ahead. You look back once more, though there's almost nothing left to see. The galaxies are mere dots now, frozen in time by the universe's expansion. Each one still shines faintly, though their light will never reach another. It's the final act of cosmic solitude, each flame still burning, unseen but unforgotten. You wonder what it would mean to live in such a universe, where distance is infinite and connection impossible. But then you remember, even now, you are connected. Every atom in you was once part of something larger, a star, a galaxy, a cloud of dust. The expansion cannot undo that. The memory of connection endures in the structure of everything. You close your eyes and let that thought settle deep inside. Perhaps that's what eternity really is. Not endless time, but endless remembrance. The universe remembering itself, even as it drifts into calm. You open your eyes again, and all around you is peace. Space hums softly, light stretches thin, and the great cosmic breath continues outward. It's beautiful beyond measure. It feels like rest. you drift through the soft hush of an infinite universe, where all things are stretched thin but still quietly breathing. The galaxies are now too far apart for their light to touch, yet they remain small, glowing hearts scattered through endless night. Time flows differently here, no longer measured in years but in vast waves of calm. You have reached what physicists call the deep time of the cosmos, the far, tranquil future, when only the faintest embers of creation still glow. The light you see now is delicate, ancient beyond reckoning. Most of it comes from stars that have long since cooled into dim embers, black dwarfs that still radiate traces of the warmth they once carried. These faint sparks are few, but each is steady. Their light doesn't reach far. It doesn't need to. It's content simply to exist, glowing softly in solitude. You pass near one. Its surface is smooth and dark, almost invisible, yet it hums with residual heat, a whisper of what was once a star's heart. The atoms inside are arranged in crystalline order, like a diamond larger than a world. The star's last act was to turn itself into perfection, then to rest. You can almost sense the stillness radiating from it, the way peace radiates from a quiet room at night. In the vastness beyond, black holes linger, the last titans of gravity. They drift through the cosmic dark, slowly losing their mass to Hawking radiation, evaporating one photon at a time. It is an unimaginably slow process, yet inevitable. Even these colossal anchors will fade eventually, releasing their energy back into space, leaving only the smooth geometry of the universe behind. As the black holes vanish, the universe enters a kind of equilibrium, a state of complete balance. All energy has spread evenly. All light has stretched into wavelengths too long to see. There are no more stars, no more galaxies, no more heat. The universe has become a sea of quiet photons and cold particles, drifting in near-perfect stillness. And yet, it isn't empty. You realize that emptiness doesn't truly exist. Even now, the fabric of space-time flickers faintly, with quantum motion, tiny fluctuations, appearing and disappearing, faster than thought. These are the vacuum fluctuations, the breath of nothingness itself. They ensure that, even when all else is gone, something always stirs. Scientists still wonder whether those quantum flickers might someday create something new, a sudden imbalance, a burst of energy that ignites another universe. Perhaps what you see as the end is simply the prelude to another beginning. Maybe this pattern has no final note, only an infinite rhythm of rest and renewal. You drift through this final calm, and your sense of time dissolves completely. The silence is absolute, yet full. The darkness feels thick with memory. Every atom that ever was, every pulse of light that ever shone, still exists here, in some form, transformed, diffused, but not lost. Nothing, it seems, truly vanishes. Everything becomes part of everything else. You pause, suspended in this infinite twilight, and realize that the universe has reached something beyond motion, something closer to grace. There's no rush, no decay, no sound, only the echo of what once was. Warmth turned to quiet, motion turned to form, chaos turned to harmony. You think of all you've seen, the stars, the galaxies, the dance of gravity and light, the rise and fall of creation. It feels as though you've watched the universe breathe, from its first bright inhalation to this final, peaceful exhale. Every stage, every transformation has led here to stillness, to completion, to peace. And yet, even in stillness, there's a quiet pulse. Perhaps it's memory, or perhaps it's possibility, the faint vibration that says the story might begin again. That somewhere, somehow, a quantum fluctuation might bloom into another Big Bang, another cycle of stars, light, and life. You smile softly at the thought. Maybe that's what the universe truly is, a cosmic heartbeat, pulsing eternally through expansion and rest. You turn slowly, and though there is almost no light left, you feel the weight of everything that ever was pressing gently around you. Stars that gave birth to life, black holes that sculpted galaxies, nebulae that painted the dark, and the particles that once formed you. You are not separate from it. You are its continuation, its echo. The universe is not something outside of you, it is you, thinking of itself. You take one long, quiet breath, an imaginary act in a place without air, and let that understanding settle. The universe, after all, doesn't end with silence. It ends with awareness, with a moment of perfect calm, where every photon, every atom, every heartbeat of creation folds into one vast, eternal peace. You drift in that peace now, weightless, timeless, infinite. There's no boundary, no sound, no need. Only the soft hum of existence itself, steady, endless, kind. And then, as if on cue, you feel the faintest flicker, a tremor in the fabric of nothing. A single spark of energy, small but bright, blooming far away. Maybe it's nothing, or maybe it's everything beginning again. You don't chase it. You simply watch, smiling in the dark, knowing that whatever it is, it belongs. And you rest, surrounded by the calm of the infinite, the gentle exhale of eternity. As the final echoes of starlight fade, you feel yourself slowing, as if every thought is dissolving into the rhythm of the cosmos. The vastness that once seemed overwhelming now feels tender, like an embrace. You realize that the universe's story, its rise from chaos, its slow unfolding into peace, is also your story. Every breath you've taken, every heartbeat, has followed the same pattern: creation, expansion, calm. The silence around you grows warmer, not colder. The darkness isn't emptiness, it's comfort. You can almost hear the soft hum of everything at rest, the last lullaby of existence. The galaxies may be gone, the stars long cooled, but the memory of their light lingers, woven into the structure of space-time like threads of gold in a deep blue cloth. You let go of shape, of direction, of time. The boundaries between you and the universe fade, until you are not drifting through it, you are it. Every atom that once was is at peace. Every vibration slow and steady. Even thought feels gentle now, like ripples on a calm lake. Somewhere, perhaps, a new spark waits to ignite a new dawn in another universe. But for now, everything is complete. Everything is enough. You breathe in the quiet one last time, feeling it settle into every corner of your awareness. The universe hums softly. You listen. You rest. Sweet dreams.